Really? Oh my God. You two are amazing. That's wonderful. So beautiful and with such good grades. You're truly the most perfect girls. Lu Wei's eyes widened, her face filled with immense surprise and delight, the corners of her mouth turning up in an unexpected joy. Mingran and Tang Ji both felt a little embarrassed. After all, it seemed like a very long time since they had experienced such praise from an elder. Only Lu Wei could acknowledge them like this, and only she could provide such emotional value. From behind, Zhou Heng slowly chimed in. So guess who got first place? His move was like digging a pit for his own mother. He just wanted to see what kind of answer she would give. As it turned out, Lu Wei didn't hesitate at all. She spoke directly. Is there even a need to guess? With Tang Ji's non-competitive personality, first place must be Little Ran. But first and third are the same. Either way, they're both better than you. Aren't you going to hurry up and work harder? Puffed. Her words made Tang Ji and Mingran laugh again. Zhou Heng pouted, deeply impressed by his mother. She already had the answer in her heart, but managed to phrase it so smoothly, giving Tang Ji a way out while also using him as a stepping stone. Since he was her biological son, she could only pick on him. All right, I'm taking you all to eat. We'll have something good today. Lu Wei started the car and drove away from the school gate. This time, she drove directly to a rather luxurious hotel. Auntie, it's just a simple meal. There's no need to come to such a nice place, right? Tang Ji glanced at the hotel. It was quite extraordinary. At least, all the locals knew about it and were aware of its class. People would probably only come here to entertain distinguished guests, so coming to a place like this to treat 3 high school students seemed a bit too exaggerated. It's fine. It's the same no matter where we eat. There are only 4 of us. We can't eat that much anyway, Lu Wei answered casually, then drove directly into the parking garage. Zhou Heng rested his cheek on his arm, leaning against the car window and looking outside. He saw Lu Wei pass by one empty parking space after another and couldn't help but frown. A trace of doubt rose in Zhou Heng's heart. He was a bit puzzled, but didn't say anything. A moment later, Lu Wei parked the car directly in what looked like a reserved parking spot. Zhou Heng was even more confused. There were so many empty spots she didn't even look at, heading straight for this one. All right, let's go. Lu Wei parked the car and got out with the 3 of them. She walked ahead alone, while Zhou Heng and the others walked behind. The 3 of them glanced at each other, able to see the confusion in each other's eyes. They didn't say anything, just exchanged a look, and then followed Lu Wei into the hotel. While they were waiting, Lu Wei had already chatted with the front lobby manager about something. Then, they were guided to a small private room. After they were seated, Zhou Heng asked, Mom, do you come here often? Lu Wei shook her head lightly and replied, No, I don't. Just as Lu Wei finished speaking, there was a knock on the private room door. The manager entered, bent down, and whispered in Lu Wei's ear, Would you like me to bring out the wine you have stored here? Zhou Heng, Mingran, and Tang Ji all looked at Lu Wei at the same time, their expressions a mixture of smiles and non-smiles. She even had wine stored here, and she still said she didn't come often? Lu Wei waved her hand with some embarrassment, signaling the manager to leave. After the manager left, she explained helplessly, I just occasionally entertain clients here. It doesn't count as coming often. Clients? Zhou Heng couldn't help but frown, looking at his mother with confusion. Then he asked, Mom, what does our family actually do? Why won't you and Dad tell me? Huh? You don't even know yourself? Tang Ji looked at Zhou Heng with a face full of astonishment, finding it hard to believe. A son who didn't even know what his parents did for a living? Mingran was also a little surprised. She had felt before that Zhou Heng's family was quite well off, but she had never asked in detail. Zhou Heng spread his hands helplessly. I don't know. Since I was little, they just told me they were in business, doing trade. I never asked much. I give up. Tang Ji shook her head, looking at Zhou Heng speechlessly. What a muddle-headed son he was, not even paying attention to what his own family did. Lu Wei chuckled lightly and responded faintly. It's no big business, but we still need a decent hotel to entertain clients, right? So don't overthink it. How about this? After your college entrance exams are over, I'll take you to see the family business. You can help out then. In the meantime, just focus on studying hard. All right then. Zhou Heng nodded, letting himself be fobbed off just like that. Tang Ji and Mingran were both a little surprised. No wonder Zhou Heng didn't know the truth until now. He was so easy to fool. After the dishes were served, the 4 of them began to eat. During the meal, Tang Ji gave Zhou Heng a look. Zhou Heng immediately understood and looked towards Mingran. At that moment, Mingran also happened to meet Zhou Heng's gaze. The 3 of them seemed to be on the same secret frequency. Lu Wei didn't even look up. While typing on her phone, she said, "What are you three doing? Is there something you want to tell me?" Zhou Heng scratched his head, his expression awkward. He wanted to tell his mother about him and Yin Mingran. He had done well on his exams this time, so he should be able to bring it up, right? As long as he got his mother's approval, there would be nothing to fear, and he could be at ease. Zhou Heng hesitated for a while, unable to get the words out. It seemed he was still mentally preparing himself, thinking about what to do if the outcome wasn't good. Just then, it was Yin Mingran who stood up first. Mom. What's wrong?" Lu Wei turned to look at Yin Mingran and smiled gently, her eyes filled with tenderness, like a mother doting on her own daughter. Seeing Lu Wei's smiling face, Yin Mingran momentarily shrank back, but in the next second, she steeled her heart. This matter was very important. If Zhou Heng couldn't say it, then she would. Then, she bowed and spoke slowly. "I want to tell you, it's just that. I'm with Zhou Heng. It's been over a month. I hope to get your approval." After Yin Mingran spoke, the atmosphere in the room instantly fell silent. You could hear a pin drop. Zhou Heng watched his mother's expression closely, trying to detect any change on her face, but Lu Wei's expression remained unchanged. She was still smiling as she looked at Yin Mingran. At this moment, Tang Ji also stood up. She realized she should say something too. "Annie, I think they're quite suitable for each other. Yin Mingran is so sensible, and her grades are good. She's helped Zhou Heng improve so much, which is a good thing." Hearing that even Tang Ji had stood up to persuade her, Lu Wei turned to look at Zhou Heng, frowning slightly. "Aren't you going to say something? Letting two girls speak for you, really? Why are you so timid?" Zhou Heng lowered his head and said, Yes. I've learned my lesson. So about me and Yin Mingran." Lu Wei sighed and said, "Yeah, treat her well, honestly. I knew you'd have improper thoughts about little Ran. You're just like your old man." Yin Mingran's face instantly lit up with a smile. Gaining the approval of Zhou Heng's mother was of great significance to her. My dad." But Zhou Heng was taken aback for a moment, because his mother had mentioned his old man. In his memory, it seemed he really hadn't seen his father in a long time, nor had they been in contact. The two of them, father and son, didn't even ask about each other, like strangers. But none of that mattered. The most important thing was that his relationship with Yin Mingran was finally approved. This was a momentous occasion. Then, Lu Wei continued, "Treat her well. Otherwise, how will you have the face to see her deceased parents?" Zhou Heng suddenly remembered that they were indeed going to see Yin Mingran's parents tomorrow. So Zhou Heng spoke up directly. "The three of us are actually going to visit Yin Mingran's parents tomorrow." "Is that so?" "Indeed, you should go. How about this? I happen to have nothing to do tomorrow. I'll go with you. I'll say a few words to little Ran's mother, so she can rest assured and entrust little Ran to me." You're going too?" Yin Mingran was a little surprised. She never expected her godmother would go to pay respects to her biological mother. She couldn't have imagined such a plot twist. The key was, besides them, her aunt would probably be there too tomorrow. Hopefully, those people wouldn't clash, right? After the meal, the four of them left. When it was time to pay the bill, Lu Wei didn't scan a code or use cash at all. Instead, she just said something to the front desk, and then they all left directly. Zhou Heng found it very strange and buried this doubt in his heart. He felt that he would find out one day, just not now. Lu Wei first dropped Tang Ji off at her home. Then it was Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran. After the two got out of the car, Lu Wei looked at the two of them outside the car and said, "By the way, wake up a little earlier tomorrow. I've already found a place for you to live. I'll call the moving company in the morning. Pack up your things after you get up." "Okay, got it," Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran replied, then prepared to turn around and go home. Just then, Lu Wei suddenly called out to them again. "By the way, wait a minute." Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran stopped and turned to look at Lu Wei. Yin Mingran spoke first. "What is it, Mom? Is there anything else?" Lu Wei smiled and beckoned, signaling for the two to come over. Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran exchanged a look, then walked back with some surprise. Then, Lu Wei took out an envelope and handed it to Zhou Heng. "Here, living expenses. Spend it wisely." "Ooh." Zhou Heng took the envelope, his eyes instantly lighting up. He eagerly opened it, wanting to see how much was inside. "Whoa, so much. Mom, why are you so generous this time?" Zhou Heng glanced at it. The cash inside was much more than the living expenses he had been given before, almost double. The thickness suggested it was about 8,000 yuan. Lu Wei nodded and said, it's your reward. You've made so much progress, so it's normal to give you a bit more. But you can't spend it all on games. Spend this money reasonably." "Okay, don't worry." Just as Zhou Heng was still happy about receiving so much in living expenses, Lu Wei suddenly took out an even thicker red envelope. Here, honey, this is yours. It's a reward. Congratulations on getting first in the grade. Keep up the good work. What? Zhou Heng's eyes widened, staring at the red envelope in front of him, which was much thicker than the envelope in his hand. His was at least living expenses, while hers was just a reward for spending money, and it looked like a lot more than his. No. Mom, I can't take this money. Yin Mingran was also stunned. One look, and she knew there was a lot of money in this red envelope. At least 20,000 yuan. She definitely couldn't accept it. Before meeting Zhou Heng, she had very little money, almost unable to afford meals. But after meeting Zhou Heng, she seemed to receive money often, whether it was from Zhou Heng's mother, or teacher Wang, or her aunt. Now she didn't even know how to spend all her money, and it was all unearned. How could she spend it with a clear conscience? Lu Wei hardly allowed Yin Mingran to refuse, directly stuffing it into her arms. Yin Mingran was already used to this kind of operation. These people would always forcefully give her money. Aya, if you still consider me your mother, then take it quickly. By the way, keep it for yourself. Don't let Zhou Heng take it to spend on games. Zhou Heng was at a loss for words, a look of helplessness and speechlessness on his face. He spent very little time playing games now. Why was he still the person who often spent money on games in his mother's eyes? But, all right, I'm leaving. You guys go on back. See you tomorrow. Then, Lu Wei stepped on the gas and left. Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran watched the car drive farther and farther away until they could no longer see its taillights. Only then did they look at each other. Yin Mingran looked down at the red envelope in her hand. It felt even thicker in her grasp. There was really at least 20,000 yuan inside. Zhou Heng glanced at his living expenses, which seemed a bit shabby in comparison, but he didn't feel that unbalanced. After all, he was quite happy that the money was given to Yin Mingran and had no objections. Just then, Yin Mingran suddenly reached out and handed the red envelope to Zhou Heng, whispering, "Here. For you. This was for you, so you should keep it. Anyway, it's the same whether it's given to you or to me," Zhou Heng said, placing the envelope in his hand on top of the red envelope, holding both with Yin Mingran. Yin Mingran looked up, staring at Zhou Heng's face, slightly taken aback. Then, a smile appeared on her face, and she nodded. I know. Yin Mingran knew that Zhou Heng didn't want them to draw a clear line between each other. It didn't matter if the money was hers or Zhou Heng's, because they would always spend it on each other. The two went upstairs together and returned home. As they walked in, they couldn't help but feel a little emotional. Looking at the living room before them, many memories seemed to flash through their minds. Because they were moving out tomorrow, this was their last night here. Yin Mingran felt a bit reluctant to leave. After all, she had lived here with Zhou Heng for about 2 months. When she first arrived, soaked to the bone, she was scared and anxious, keeping a certain distance from Zhou Heng, her heart completely occupied by fear and unease. But now, she had completely come to see this place as her home. Leaving tomorrow would naturally bring some reluctance, even though she knew she would still be with Zhou Heng. But she didn't care about the size of the room. A smaller one meant she could be closer to Zhou Heng. Let's pack our things together. Okay. The two stood in the living room, seeing that there were still many things in the house. It would take a long time to pack everything up, especially Zhou Heng's workout equipment, which was quite troublesome to pack. Zhou Heng rolled up his sleeves and started packing. He was responsible for the heavy items, while Yin Mingran quickly joined in, packing the miscellaneous things. However, as she packed, her eyes would occasionally glance towards Zhou Heng, as if she wanted to say something but was a bit hesitant. In her mind, she was still thinking about what happened today. This Song Wan, her aunt, if she had appeared before she met Zhou Heng, she would have definitely been her lifesaver. No matter where Song Wan wanted to take her, she would have gone. But it was Zhou Heng who appeared before her first, saving her so many times. Everything she had now was given to her by Zhou Heng. So, even if that was her biological aunt who treated her well, she couldn't compare to Zhou Heng in the slightest. So, regarding her proposal, she would absolutely not accept it. She would absolutely not leave Zhou Heng. She also had to tell Zhou Heng about this matter. Zhou Heng. What's wrong? Zhou Heng turned his head to look at Yin Mingran. Seeing that she seemed to want to say something important, he put down the things in his hands and walked over to her. Yin Mingran lowered her head slightly and said, "It's just, I ran into my aunt today. She doesn't know you're my boyfriend, and she doesn't know we live together. She thought I was having a hard time now, so she said she wanted to take me abroad." After Yin Mingran finished speaking, Zhou Heng's eyes suddenly widened. Yin Mingran quickly explained, but I firmly refused. I definitely won't go. I want. I want to always be with you. Her voice became very soft towards the end, but it was still clear enough for Zhou Hong to hear. After hearing her, Zhou Hong didn't immediately respond. The atmosphere suddenly became exceptionally quiet. Imungran's heart was pounding because she didn't know what Zhou Hong would say or if he would be angry with her over this matter. A moment later, Zhou Hong spoke slowly, murmuring, "Abroad is actually quite nice." No, no matter if it's good or not, I'll. Before Imungran could finish, Zhou Hong suddenly took a step forward, opened his arms, and pulled her into a hug. Imungran looked surprised, her chin resting on Zhou Hong's shoulder, her hands reflexively wrapping around his waist. Their heartbeats seemed to merge at that moment, beating at the same accelerated frequency. Imungran's anxiety slowly dissipated. As if in Zhou Hong's embrace, she didn't have to think about anything. After a long silence, Zhou Hong's voice was very gentle when he spoke. "If you want to go abroad, I'll talk to my family, and I'll go with you." Imungran's eyes were filled with disbelief. She was stunned for a moment, and her heart, which had just stabilized, began to race again. Before she could say anything, Zhou Hong continued, "Because I also want you to be with your family, and, at the same time, I hope to always be with you. So if you go abroad, I'll go too." Zhou Hong. Imungran's eyes, looking at Zhou Hong, slowly became moist, as if tears were about to form at the corners. But the corners of her mouth were slightly raised, her eyes filled with love for Zhou Hong. The next second, she draped her arms over Zhou Hong's shoulders, leaned her head in, and her warm lips, as if carrying an electric current, covered Zhou Hong's, slowly moving, as if trying to restrain herself, yet desiring so much more, not content with just this. After a long time, Imungran reluctantly pulled away and said softly, "You're so good, but everything I have was given by you, and I am also yours. So wherever you are, I will be. I will never leave you." "I feel the same way." The two looked at each other, admiring the love for each other in their eyes. Then, they looked at each other and smiled. "All right, let's continue packing." As night fell, the moonlight flickered under the cover of dark clouds. Tang Ji returned home. After entering the house, she saw that the kitchen light was still on. She looked into the kitchen and saw her mother, Zhou Yalan, still washing dishes and cleaning up. Tang Ji leaned against the kitchen doorframe, her arms crossed, and said faintly, "Mom." Goodness, you scare me." Zhou Yalan turned around, startled. Tang Ji had appeared behind her like a ghost, scaring her so much that she almost dropped the bowl in her hand. Tang Ji slowly approached and asked, "Mom, do you know what Zhou Hong's family does?" She raised her question. She had been suspicious since today, but out of politeness she was too embarrassed to ask, so she had to come home and ask her own mother. After hearing Tang Ji's question, Zhou Yalan was taken aback. Then, she seemed to understand something, smiled helplessly, and said, "You just don't ask. But I can tell you, even if Zhou Hong does nothing, he can live a life free of worries about food and clothing." The next morning, Zhou Hong and Imungran finished packing their things and got up early. Then Zhou Hong called his mother. "Hello, Mom, we finished packing. When are you coming?" Son, I'm a bit busy over here. I'll call a moving company to come over. Just pack up and go. I'll find you in the afternoon." "All right then." Just as Zhou Hong hung up the phone, the moving company knocked on the door. Then, they moved all the things downstairs, loaded them onto the truck, and left together. Zhou Hong and Imungran sat in the truck, taking one last look at the place they had lived in together. The truck drove to their new home, which was a little farther from the school, but it didn't matter. It was only a few minutes more to journey. At their new home, the landlord was still waiting for them to arrive. Zhou Hong and Imungran entered the house. It was very spacious, much better than the place they had lived in before, with 2 bedrooms, fully renovated, practically move-in ready, with no need for much tidying up. The movers brought all the things up and then left. The bill was already paid. Zhou Hong and Imungran began to slowly unpack, taking out their things and organizing them. When it came to sorting out the bedrooms, the two stood at the doors of the 2 bedrooms, compared them briefly, and figured out which one was the master bedroom. Then, without any discussion, they moved all their things directly into the master bedroom. After all, they had already agreed that even after moving, they would still live together. After they finished tidying up, Imungran received a message from Tang Ji, asking for their new address. Imungran sent the location of the new home, and Tang Ji said she would be over in a while. Zhou Hong and Imungran rested on the sofa. This sofa was big enough to seat 7 or 8 people. They no longer had to squeeze onto that small sofa that could only seat one person. After 20 minutes, there was a knock on the door. Min Gran got up to open it. Standing at the door was Tang Ji. She usually wore light-colored clothes, but today, she was wearing a dark color. "So this is your new home. It's really nice." After entering, Tang Ji looked around and nodded repeatedly. This was indeed much better than the place they had lived in before. The rent must be particularly expensive. But then she remembered what her mother had said last night, and she didn't find it strange anymore. The more her mother told her not to ask, the more curious she became. But she couldn't ask Zhou Heng about this, because Zhou Heng himself didn't know. "Where's my aunt? Didn't she come?" She's coming this afternoon. Let's go out for lunch first." Zhou Heng stood up, ready to go out to eat with the two of them. After all, they had just moved in and hadn't had time to cook. The three of them went out together, chose a restaurant, and had a meal together. During the meal, the three of them chatted. Although Tang Ji intentionally or unintentionally tried to bring the topic to Zhou Heng, wanted to talk about what his family did and why her own mother had made it sound so exaggerated, as if Zhou Heng were a rich second-generation kid. No matter how she asked, Zhou Heng seemed to know nothing, as if it wasn't his family's business at all. Buzz. At that moment, Mingran's phone suddenly rang. She took it out and saw that it was Song Wan, her aunt, calling. "Hello, Aunt. Auntie." After Mingran answered, she still felt a little embarrassed to say it, as if it was forced. After all, they weren't close, and she couldn't bring herself to be overly affectionate. "Hello, Ran, where are you? I'll come find you. I'm having a meal. I'll send you the location." After hanging up, Mingran added Song Wan as a friend and sent her their location. A few dozen minutes later, Song Wan arrived. She stood at the entrance, staring at the restaurant in front of her, and couldn't help but frown slightly. Then she slowly walked in and saw Mingran sitting there, with Zhou Heng and Tang Ji, whom she had met yesterday, by her side. Song Wan's brows furrowed even more tightly. Song Wan walked over, and before Mingran could speak, she said first, Ran, why are you eating in a place like this? Didn't I give you money? Why not go eat something good?" Mingran was taken aback for a moment and stammered, I think this is quite good." "Good? What's good about it? Honestly, come on, I'll take you to eat something else. Let your two classmates come along too." Auntie, let's just eat here. It's all the same. Anyway, after we eat, we're going to visit my mother. That's what's most important." Mingran refused without a second thought. To her, it was the same wherever she ate because nothing was as delicious as the food Zhou Heng made. Seeing that she couldn't pull Mingran away, Song Wan sat down, sighed, and said, "You've just been living a hard life for too long. When you go abroad with me, I guarantee you won't live like this anymore." "About that, Auntie, I told you, I won't go abroad with you. I want to stay here." "What? No. Why? You're all by yourself. You can't take care of yourself. How can I be at ease?" Mingran turned her head to look at Zhou Heng opposite her, hesitated for a moment, then she reached out her hand, pointed to Zhou Heng, and said, "Auntie, this is Zhou Heng. He's my boyfriend. Everything I have now, he gave me, so I won't leave him." Song Wan's eyes suddenly widened, her face full of surprise. After looking at Zhou Heng, her two delicate brows furrowed slightly. "Hello, Auntie." Zhou Heng nodded and greeted Song Wan. Song Wan's expression was not good. Just as she was about to say something, her phone rang. Buzz. Song Wan took out her phone, glanced at it, then looked up and said, "Wait for me to come back and we'll talk." Then, she stood up and hurriedly went out the door. Song Wan came outside the restaurant, answered the phone, and communicated with the other party in a foreign language. After a while, a car stopped at the restaurant entrance. A woman got out of the car and walked towards the restaurant. This person was Zhou Heng's mother, Lu Wei. She had found out from Zhou Heng that they were eating here and had rushed over. Song Wan looked up and glanced over, then her eyes suddenly widened. She dropped her phone directly, even though the person on the other end hadn't hung up. Lu Wei saw Song Wan at the entrance and gave her a strange look. Then she ignored her and was about to walk directly into the restaurant. Song Wan also reacted quickly, no longer stunned, and quickly spoke up. You are President Lu? What are you doing here?" And you are?" Lu Wei stopped, her expression quizzical as she stared at Song Wan, looking her up and down but not recognizing her. We once had business talks." "Oh, right." Song Wan hurriedly took a business card from her bag, offered it with both hands, and handed it to Lu Wei. Lu Wei took it, glanced at it, and nodded silently, murmuring, "Oh, I remember now. What is it? Do you need something?" No, nothing. But what brings you to a place like this?" Song Wan shook her head awkwardly, asking with some surprise. It was truly hard to comprehend, seeing someone she never expected to see in such a small place. Lu Wei, however, didn't find anything amiss and answered frankly, "I'm here to find my son and his friends. I don't know what you're doing here, but remember, in front of my son, do not mention work matters." Lu Wei's voice wasn't loud, but it carried an absolute authority that made Song Wan feel a trace of fear. Okay. Song Wan nodded repeatedly, agreeing first, but in the next second, she realized something was wrong. Finding her son? Here? Why would the son of such a figure appear in a place like this? Lu Wei walked directly past Song Wan and into the restaurant. Song Wan quickly hung up the phone and followed closely behind. In an instant, her entire demeanor changed. Just a moment ago, she had an arrogant attitude that looked down on this place. Now, she was like Lu Wei's secretary, following behind, her posture no longer so upright. She knew full well that she couldn't afford to offend the person in front of her. Their levels were too far apart. Usually, just getting a meeting was extremely difficult, but she hadn't expected to run into her here. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If she performed well, maybe she could gain some benefits. After entering the restaurant, Lu Wei saw Zhou Heng and the others sitting there to glance. A smile appeared on her face as she walked over. "I'm here, my darlings," Lu Wei said cheerfully, walking over and sitting down next to Yin Mengran. Yin Mengran, who had thought it was her aunt returning, turned her head and was surprised to see it was Zhou Heng's mother. She quickly smiled and greeted, "Ah, Mom, you're here." "Yes. Sorry, I was a bit busy this morning." Lu Wei put down her bag and smiled gently, her voice soft and completely different from her authoritative state just now. Song Wan, who was following behind, stopped in her tracks, standing rooted to the spot. At that moment, she looked completely stunned. She swallowed, as if her throat was dry. She really hadn't expected that the people Lu Wei was looking for were Yin Mingran and her friends. People who, in her mind, had no connection and would never cross paths in their lifetime, actually seemed to have such a close relationship. And Lu Wei had said she was here to find her son. The only one here who could possibly be Lu Wei's son was this sturdy-looking boy. Now, looking closely, the two of them really did have many similar facial features. However, this boy, Yin Mingran, had just said he was her boyfriend, right? Which meant that Yin Mingran's boyfriend was Lu Wei's son. This, in an instant, after piecing the relationships together, Song Wan sucked in a breath of cold air, almost fainting with her eyes wide open. Such a dramatic situation was actually happening for real. No wonder Yin Mingran was unwilling to go abroad. With a boyfriend from a family like this, who would be willing to leave? Cough. Song Wan coughed lightly in embarrassment from the side. She was now standing there at a loss, not knowing what to do. Just then, Yin Mingran and the others noticed Song Wan's presence. She quickly stood up, glanced at Lu Wei, and explained, Mom, let me introduce you. This is my aunt. Mom. Song Wan's eyeballs almost popped out. She was completely shocked, her mouth agape. Had they already gotten married? Was Lu Wei now Yin Mingran's mother-in-law? Otherwise, why would she call her mom directly? Wasn't this too fast? Or was she just finding out too late? Lu Wei looked up at Song Wan, a momentary flash of doubt in her eyes. The next second, a smile appeared. "So that's how it is. You're little Rant's aunt." Hello, my name is Lu Wei. I'm little Rant's godmother. After I heard about her situation, I took her in. You don't mind, do you?" Lu Wei's last sentence slowed down, her tone becoming heavier, and the look in her eyes at that moment was seen only by Song Wan. Song Wan's eyes suddenly widened. After a few seconds of stunned silence, she shook her head repeatedly and said, Of course I don't mind. But you can take her in. I can rest assured. This is truly a wonderful thing." It was as if she had discovered how to break through with this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. After all, if this was the case, did that mean she had also latched on some kind of connection? The other three were very puzzled. They weren't stupid. It was obvious that this Song Wan seemed to be extremely respectful towards Lu Wei. Even if one was polite, it wouldn't be to this extent, right? It was clear they knew each other from before, wasn't it? But how was that possible? Lu Wei nodded with satisfaction and said, "All right, sit down and eat with us. In the afternoon, we can go visit little Rant's mother together, okay? You shouldn't have any objections, right?" No, let's go together. If my sister's spirit in heaven knew, she would surely be happy." Song Wan quickly sat down, taking a seat on Yin Mingran's other side. The disdainful look she had earlier was completely gone. Now, even if you asked her to leave, she wouldn't. She couldn't bear to go. "Auntie, didn't you say you had something to say when you came back?" Just then, a sentence from Yin Mingran made her jump, and she immediately sat up straight, her eyes inadvertently glancing towards Lu Wei. This, before she went out, she had indeed said she would talk when she came back. It seemed she was going to talk about Yin Mingran's relationship. At that time, her thought was definitely to break them up. But who knew this boy's mother was so formidable? I forgot what I was going to say. Maybe we should just... Song Wan waved her hand, trying to change the subject, but in the next second, Zhou Hong spoke up. So, does that mean you agree to me and Yin Mingran being together? And you won't take her abroad? That should be okay, right? Upon hearing this, Lu Wei's brows knitted together. She turned her head to look at Song Wan. In that instant, Song Wan felt her heart turn cold. Lu Wei's gaze was like a series of needles, piercing her body. That. Song Wan stammered, unable to utter a single word for a long time, as if someone was choking her. She was at a complete loss for words, truly not knowing how to explain. The atmosphere became tense. Everyone secretly watched Lu Wei, as if waiting for her to make a statement. After a moment, Lu Wei slowly spoke, asking, since that's the case, as Little Ran's most qualified guardian right now, I'd like to ask, is it okay for Little Ran to be with my son? Although my son's academic performance isn't that great for now, he is definitely sincere towards Little Ran. Please give him a chance, all right? Yes, it's okay. Of course it's okay. I can also see that your son is very outstanding, with a dignified appearance and extraordinary presence. I'm sure he will be successful in the future. Song Wan nodded repeatedly in agreement. How could she dare to say no now? On the surface, Lu Wei was speaking politely, but she could hear the threatening undertone in her words. Zhou Heng's mouth twitched upon hearing these compliments. He thought to himself that this person really changed her tune quickly. Just a moment ago, when she heard he was Yin Mingran's boyfriend, her gaze was sharp enough to kill him. Just then, Lu Wei's tone suddenly shifted, and she continued. And you just said, you wanted to take Little Ran abroad? May I ask, is abroad so great? Can you guarantee it's as good as being here home? Are you saying that being abroad will allow Little Ran to receive a better education than here at home? Let her enjoy a better life? Eat better? Dress warmer? Not necessarily, right? May I ask, what's so bad about being here? Lu Wei's words were relentless, seemingly giving Song Wan no room to breathe. However, Song Wan was not someone who couldn't handle anything. She explained, no, you've misunderstood. I absolutely didn't mean that. I just thought she was alone and uncared for here. As her family, of course, the first thing I wanted was to bring her to my side to take care of her. I never thought it would be better for her abroad, just that I could take care of her. Song Wan's words made Zhou Heng and Tang Ji sneer inwardly. Just now, her desire to take Yin Mingran away made it seem as if Yin Mingran had stepped into some filthy place. People with such thoughts would almost always think that foreign countries were better than their own. The three of them felt that this kind of thinking was actually quite sad, perhaps because she had spent almost all her time abroad. Lu Wei snorted lightly. It was unclear whether she believed her or not. Then, she nodded and continued to ask, in that case, you should have seen by now that Yin Mingran can be well taken care of by me. Her life won't be worse than before. So you don't need to take her abroad, right? Of course. You're right. With such a good godmother, I can rest assured. Little Ran will also have a very good life. Song Wan quickly chimed in. How could she still dare to take Yin Mingran abroad? She was even thinking of having Yin Mingran take her in and stay in the country. Hearing this, Lu Wei's brows finally relaxed, and she nodded lightly. That's good. Saying that, she slowly raised her hand. Between her fingers was the business card Song Wan had given her before entering. She only showed it for a moment before closing her hand and putting it in her pocket. Seeing this, a huge weight was lifted from Song Wan's heart, and she let out a big sigh of relief. This should mean that her performance was not bad, and there would be opportunities in the future. If she hadn't performed well, the scene might have been her tearing up the business card. What would have happened then? She really couldn't say. All right, let's eat. Under the influence of Lu Wei's presence, everyone ate together in perfect harmony. There were no arguments, only normal conversation. After the meal, the group prepared to go pay their respects to Yin Mingran's parents, buying paper money and other offerings. In the afternoon, following Yin Mingran's directions, the group arrived at her parents' graves. It was a hill far from the city, with many tombstones on it. The grass on some graves was very tall, as if no one had visited for a long time. Lu Wei and Song Wan followed behind Yin Mingran, their expressions solemn. Being buried here was really not very good. However, they knew that with Yin Mingran's abilities, she couldn't have arranged a more dignified resting place for her parents. Little Let me move your parents to a better cemetery. At least let them rest more comfortably, Lu Wei said softly, looking at Imingran's back, which seemed to grow heavier with each step forward. Imingran didn't turn back and responded in a small voice, "Thank you. But it's not necessary. Let them rest in peace. Let's not disturb them." The group arrived at 2 graves. Names were carved on the tombstones. Buried here were Imingran's parents. At this moment, Songwan was the first to shed tears. She went forward directly and knelt before one of the graves, crying out, "Sister, I came back too late." Seeing this, Imingran couldn't hold back either. Even though she quickly looked up, tears still flowed uncontrollably. She kept swallowing, trying not to let out a sob. Tears streamed down, her throat moving constantly, looking very sorrowful. Zhou Heng and Tang Ji bit their lips, frowning. Seeing Imingran like this, they really didn't know how to comfort her. The pain of losing both parents, without even being able to say goodbye to them. Perhaps they were having a normal conversation in the morning before school, a happy family, but the next time they saw them, they were separated by life and death. They could faintly feel how desperate Imingran must have been at that time. Lu Wei stepped forward and hugged Imingran, whispering in her ear, "All right, my dear, go have a good talk with your mom and dad. They must miss you very much." Imingran nodded, then slowly knelt down, pursing her lips, holding back her tears. "Dad, Mom, I'm here to see you. You don't have to worry about me. I'm doing very well now. I have a godmother who treats me like her own daughter, good friends who always think of me, and the person I love most in this life." Zhou Heng lowered his head slightly, his face filled with sadness. Seeing Imingran like this made his heart ache, as if he was empathizing with her at that moment. Just then, Lu Wei looked back at Zhou Heng and patted him on the shoulder. Zhou Heng looked at his mother, stunned for a moment. After their eyes met for a few seconds, he understood and nodded. Then he slowly walked forward and knelt down next to his mother and Imingran. "Annie, Uncle, hello. My name is Zhou Heng. I am Imingran's boyfriend. Please rest assured, I will definitely treat her well, for your sakes as well. For the rest of my life, it will always be so." Zhou Heng's words greatly surprised Songwan, who was still sobbing quietly nearby. She hadn't expected him to say such things, especially in front of his mother. At least, she could truly hear sincerity in his words. Imingran gazed at Zhou Heng's profile, tears streaming down her face, her lips tightly pressed together, her heart racing. She knew very well the weight of Zhou Heng's words. Every sentence brought her immense emotion and a heart full of happiness. After it was over, everyone went down the mountain together. Imingran walked with Lu Wei, wiping the tears from the corners of her eyes. She whispered in her ear, "Mom, thank you for coming." Lu Wei smiled faintly, stroking Imingran's head, and said, "It's what I should do. I'll come every year, don't worry." After speaking, she gently patted Imingran's shoulder, pointed at Zhou Heng up ahead, and continued, "Go on. You probably need him right now, don't you? He needs you too." Imingran's face flushed, and she nodded. Then, she walked forward to Zhou Heng's side. Lu Wei watched the 3 of them ahead, a gratified smile on her face. Just then, Songwan appeared by Lu Wei's side, and Lu Wei's smile immediately vanished. President Lu, can I really entrust little Ran to your care? It's not that I don't trust you. It's just, I'm her aunt. I have to consider her future." Songwan gathered her courage and spoke softly beside Lu Wei. She was very afraid of Lu Wei. Talking to her was difficult, often leaving her in an awkward, inescapable position. But for Imingran's sake, she still braced herself and said these words. The moment she finished speaking, she was already worried. Lu Wei glanced at her, startling Songwan, who shivered slightly. But this time, she saw that Lu Wei's gaze was no longer sharp. It had become softer. Don't worry. I will take good care of little Ran. You can come see her often and stay in touch, but don't let her separate from my son. Otherwise, I will definitely not agree." Lu Wei spoke softly, her tone steady, devoid of any threatening undertone, which put Songwan at ease. Songwan thought of what Zhou Heng had said just now, nodded, and said, I'm very sorry, President Lu. When I first learned that your son was little Ran's boyfriend, I did have some uncharitable thoughts, because I didn't know what kind of person he was. But now, I know. He is an outstanding person, just like you." "No." Lu Wei suddenly shook her head. Under Songwan's puzzled gaze, Lu Wei looked at Zhou Heng ahead and smiled helplessly. "He's nothing like me. He's exactly like that damned old man of his." Songwan didn't respond. She didn't know who this old man was, but to be Lu Wei's husband, he probably wasn't too bad, right? Lu Wei sent the group back home, and then left first, as she had other matters to attend to. The purpose of her trip had been achieved. Tang Ji watched the car drive away, then turned to Zhou Heng and asked, Zhou Heng, do you really not want to know what your family does? What if you're a rich second-generation kid? Zhou Heng shook his head without hesitation. I don't care. Whether I'm a rich kid or not, I still spend that much on living expenses each month. I don't want that much money. Whatever big business they run, whatever big boss they are, that's their own business. It doesn't have much to do with me. Oh, I see. Tang Ji nodded. She understood what Zhou Heng meant now. It seemed he really didn't care what his family did. Thinking about it, what if he did care? He wasn't the type to start squandering money just because he knew his family was rich. It was the same whether he cared or not. Since his family didn't want him to know so early, he might as well not think about it. Seeing Lu Wei leave, Songwan knew it was time for her to leave as well. She turned to Min Ran, a slight smile on her lips. Little Ran, I'll be going now. I know my visit this time put a lot of pressure on you, but don't overthink it. I was also doing it for your own good. It's okay. Auntie, I don't think that at all. I'm very happy and grateful that you still thought of me and looked out for me. It's just that I'm doing very well now, and I don't want to change this life. Min Ran quickly bowed slightly and said to Songwan in a low voice, Okay, remember to call me if you need anything. No matter what, your aunt will take care of you. And don't forget to invite me to the wedding. Songwan smiled meaningfully, glancing at Zhou Heng, who was chatting with Tang Ji over there. Hearing the word wedding, a faint blush appeared on Min Ran's cheeks. She lowered her head, looking at the tips of her toes. Okay, she answered in a small voice, while also imagining her wedding day. Take care. Oh, right. Songwan suddenly remembered something. From her bag, she took out 3 thick red envelopes. I didn't bring that much money yesterday. These are for you. Your aunt may not be able to help you in life, but at least financially, I must help you. Saying that, Songwan was about to stuff the red envelopes into Min Ran's hands. Min Ran subconsciously refused. She was already used to this kind of situation. It had almost become a conditioned reflex. People were always inexplicably stuffing money into her hands, making it hard for her to refuse. Each time she had to refuse for a long time, and in the end, she would still fail. All right, don't argue with your aunt. This is nothing. Go have some good food and have some fun with your boyfriend and your good friend. Remember, life is still beautiful. You have to look forward. Songwan grabbed Min Ran's wrist, pressed the red envelopes in her palm, then turned to leave. Then, Min Ran watched Songwan's departing back, bowed, and said, Thank you, Annie. I will remember. I will repay you. Songwan looked back one last time, her lips curved up, and left without a word. Min Ran looked at the 3 red envelopes in her hand. There must be at least 40 or 50,000 yuan. She knew her aunt was probably quite rich, but even if it was to take care of her, there was no need to give so much, right? Or perhaps she actually wanted to give more, but was afraid that if she gave too much, she would be even less likely to accept it. Min Ran thought about it. The money she had now added up to 70 or 80,000. If she added Zhou Heng's, then they would have at least 100,000 yuan. For high school students, this was a bit ridiculous, but she knew that all of this had to be spent sparingly. After all, there would be more expenses after starting university. They had to spend it with a plan. A plan was necessary, but an occasional indulgence should be acceptable, right? Min Ran turned around, looked at Zhou Heng and Tang Ji behind her, and asked, Next week, do you want to go out and have some fun together? I'm heading out now. Are you ready? Liao Haomiao quickly typed on his phone, then hurried to get dressed, looking anxious. He had a date for dinner with Zhu Tao tonight, on the weekend, and was going to pick her up from her building. They both had to study at home during the day, with only a break after 4 or 5 in the afternoon. Plus, they couldn't stay out for long and had to be home before 9 at night. That's why Liao Haomiao was in such a rush. He had to seize every minute and second to spend more time with Zhu Tao. I'm ready. I can leave any time. A message came from Zhu Tao. Liao Haomiao glanced at it, then turned off his phone. After getting ready, he walked out of his room. Click! The moment he stepped out of his room, he suddenly froze on the spot. He saw his mother, standing right there, arms crossed, exuding an oppressive aura that made him unable to move. What's wrong? Mom? Liao Haomiao stammered, forcing a smile, but it was very strained. Liao Haomiao's mother tilted her head, her brows furrowed, and stared at Liao Haomiao, questioning, Where? Are you going? I have plans with a friend. We're going out for dinner. What's wrong? Liao Haomiao continued to feign calmness, trying his best to lie. But But in reality, cold sweat was already trickling down his back, about to drench him. A friend? What kind of friend? Dressed so nicely? Your hair is done so well, and you're even wearing contact lenses. Is this a normal friend? A girl. When you go out with a girl, you have to dress up, right? You can't be sloppy. If it were just any girl, Mom would let you go. But it's that girl from middle school, isn't it? Isn't it? For the past month, I've been turning a blind eye. Do you think you've hidden it well? I just didn't want to call you out on it. But now you seem to be getting bolder, not even trying to hide it. Next time, are you going to bring her home? This, Liao Haomiao didn't dare to say that he had already brought her over once. That time, no one was home, and Zhu Tao had walked him back, so he invited her upstairs for a bit. She stayed for only about 10 minutes before going home. If his mother found out, he would be done for. Liao Haomiao's mother pressed forward, forcing Liao Haomiao to retreat step by step, until he sat down on the bed in his room, not daring to move. His hand also subconsciously went into his pocket, gripping his phone, as if afraid his mother would snatch it away. Mom, you listen to my explanation. Explain what? I've already told you. If you still want anything to do with her, then have her mother come to our door and apologize personally. Otherwise, don't even think about it. You'll just be bullied by her family again in the future. No, Mom, isn't your request a bit too much? How am I supposed to make her mother apologize? Can we change it? How about this? I guarantee I'll get into a top-tier university in the college entrance exams. Can I use that as a guarantee? No. Studying is studying. It has nothing to do with this. Either do as I say, or you're not going out today, and you're not allowed to see her ever again. Liao Haomiao's mother slammed the room door shut with a bang. Sigh. Liao Haomiao sat limply on the bed, feeling completely flustered, not knowing what to do. Beep. Just then, he heard a sound from his pocket. A sound from his phone. It sounded like a call being disconnected. Liao Haomiao quickly pulled out his phone and looked. He saw that he and Zhu Tao had been on a call, duration 0:51. Had he just been on a call with Zhu Tao? He must have accidentally dialed her when he put his hand in his pocket to grab his phone. Which means Zhu Tao heard everything just now. No way. Damn it. Liao Haomiao was even more desperate now. His hand went slack, and the phone tumbled onto the bed beside him. Meanwhile, in Zhu Tao's home, Zhu Tao stood quietly alone by the window. The window was open, and she looked at the sunset outside. The phone was still held to her ear. After a moment, she slowly lowered it. Knock, knock. Just then, there was a gentle knock on her bedroom door. When the door opened, Zhu Tao's mother peeked her head in. Seeing Zhu Tao standing by the window, she was a bit puzzled. She whispered, "Little Tao, it's time for dinner. Are you eating?" Zhu Tao shook her head and replied, "No. Today I..." Suddenly, she stopped short. After a moment's pause, she still didn't turn around. "I know, I'll be there in a bit." Then, she answered her mother, her tone flat, as she stared out the window, letting the gentle breeze lift her hair. Zhu Tao's mother found it very strange. Frowning slightly, she pushed the door open and cautiously walked over, wanting to see what Zhu Tao was doing. When she stood next to Zhu Tao, she was taken aback. "You?" At that moment, Zhu Tao's lips were tightly shut, tears falling like broken strings of pearls from the corners of her eyes, streaking across her already exquisitely made-up face. "Little Tao, what's wrong with you? Why are you crying?" Zhu Tao shook her head, wiped away a tear, and stammered in reply, "No, it's nothing. Nothing's wrong." As she spoke, she was sobbing, unable to stop. Her mother was even more confused. She was fine just a moment ago. How did she suddenly start crying? Tell Mom, was it that Liao Haomiao? Did he make you cry? Did you two have a fight? No, it's not him. It has nothing to do with him. Zhu Tao shook her head repeatedly, denying it. She had heard everything clearly on the phone just now. She finally understood why Liao Haomiao often looked so thoughtful and troubled, especially when they were out on a date. The happier they were, the more likely this would happen. Now she knew. It turned out Liao Haomiao had been thinking about this all along. He knew that if this issue wasn't resolved, then these happy days were numbered. It turned out Liao Haomiao had been carrying so much, and she had no idea. Then at least tell Mom. Why are you crying? As long as Mom can help you, Mom will definitely help. Zhu Tao's mother comforted her, gently stroking her back, trying to calm her emotions. Hearing this, Zhu Tao paused slightly, glanced at her mother, and in the next second, her lips trembled, and she began to cry even harder. I can't say it. You can't say it? What is there that you can't say? I'm your mother. Is there anything you can't tell me?" Zhu Tao's mother gently held Zhu Tao's shoulders, pulling her into her arms, speaking in a soft, gentle voice to comfort her. The more she did this, the less Zhu Tao could bring herself to speak, constantly shaking her head and sobbing. After all, asking her to tell her mother to go apologize was simply impossible. Anyone with a bit of filial piety couldn't do such a thing. Compared to one's parents, a relationship still couldn't compare. She certainly liked Liao Haomiao, liked him to the bone, but she still couldn't say such outrageous words. Zhu Tao shook her head repeatedly, her voice choked with sobs as she stammered, "No. I can't. I can't. Say it. All right. Don't say it. Don't say it. Stop crying. Come and eat. I made your favorite dish tonight." Zhu Tao's mother coaxed her for a long time before Zhu Tao slowly calmed down and stopped crying. Then they went out to eat together, leaving the phone in the room. Messages kept coming in, but none were answered. At that moment, Liao Haomiao sat in his room, constantly sending messages, but he received no response. He stared at his phone screen, his mood sinking to rock bottom, a wave of bitterness washing over him. His explanations were useless at this point. Sigh, Liao Haomiao put down his phone, lay down on the bed, spread his arms, and stared blankly at the ceiling. The next morning, it was Monday. Liao Haomiao got up early, packed his things, and prepared to go to school. As he was about to leave, he saw his mother standing at the door, staring at him, and instructing, "Come straight home after school. Don't go anywhere else." I know," Liao Haomiao replied listlessly, with 2 dark circles under his eyes, looking extremely tired. Since last night, Zhu Tao hadn't replied to him, no matter how many messages he sent. So he hadn't slept well, or rather, he hadn't slept at all. After he left the house, he went to school. Along the way, he met many classmates who greeted him warmly, but he had no energy. His replies were quiet and weak. When his classmates asked him what happened, they didn't get any useful answers, just felt that he was like a walking corpse. As he just stepped through the school gate, he suddenly felt a powerful impact from behind. Thump! Oof! The blow almost sent him flying forward. He stumbled a few steps before steadying himself. With an impact like this, he didn't even need to turn around to guess who it was. "Damn it! Zhou Heng, what are you doing?" Liao Haomiao spoke first, then turned around. The person behind him was indeed Zhou Heng. Only he would dare to do this to him, and with such great strength. The blow just now felt like an elbow strike. Zhou Heng tilted his chin up, looked at Liao Haomiao, frowned slightly, and asked, "You look like you have no energy. I'm helping you wake up. What did you do last night? Didn't sleep well? Stayed up all night playing games?" Liao Haomiao rubbed his back and rolled his eyes at Zhou Heng. "Do you think I'm you? What all-night gaming? Then what's wrong with you?" Liao Haomiao was about to speak, but then he saw Yin Mingran next to him. Since Yin Mingran was in contact with Zhu Tao, he didn't dare to say anything reckless. He was afraid Yin Mingran would contact Zhu Tao. "I'm fine. Just maybe I studied too late." Liao Haomiao waved his hand, gave a random answer, then turned and limped away. Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran looked at each other, surprised, not knowing what was wrong with Liao Haomiao. Did he have a fight with Zhu Tao? Yin Mingran guessed. She thought this was probably the reason, otherwise there didn't seem to be any other reason for Liao Haomiao to be in this state. "I'm not sure, probably. Maybe they went on a date yesterday, and it didn't go well." Zhou Heng was also unsure of the exact reason, just suspicious. After Liao Haomiao arrived in the classroom, he was also listless. The classmates gossiped among themselves, but no one dared to approach and ask. They could see that Liao Haomiao was in a very bad mood. If they bothered him at this time, they would surely suffer for it. After all, Liao Haomiao's influence was there for all to see. After a morning of classes, the homeroom teacher of Class 1 had heard reports from all the subject teachers. They all said that Liao Haomiao's state was not right. But with his grades, even if he slept in class, it would be considered that he had studied too late the previous night. No teacher would disturb him. The homeroom teacher came to the classroom and at a glance saw Liao Haomiao slumped over his desk, as if he had lost his soul. "Ahem, Liao Haomiao, come out for a moment." Liao Haomiao jerked his head up and met the gaze of the solemn-faced homeroom teacher in front of him. When the teacher saw Liao Haomiao's haggard face, her frown deepened. The classroom was unusually quiet, everyone holding their breath. Liao Haomiao slowly got up and went out of the classroom with the homeroom teacher to the office. In the office, the homeroom teacher sat down in a chair and pulled up a chair for Liao Haomiao, telling him to sit. Liao Haomiao slowly sat down, leaned back in the chair, looked at the homeroom teacher before him, and asked, "Teacher, may I ask what the matter is?" "You're asking me what the matter is? I want to ask you, what's wrong with you? You have no energy. Did you stay up all night studying?" Liao Haomiao snorted lightly. How could he even think about studying now? It would be great if he could use studying to distract himself. But the problem now was that his mind was heavy with worries, constantly thinking about Zhu Tao, and he couldn't focus on studying at all. No, teacher, I'm just in a bad mood. It's nothing. I'll rest for a while, and I should be fine in the afternoon. Liao Haomiao gave a casual explanation, his distracted appearance making the homeroom teacher very puzzled, but she didn't dare to say much. A student like Liao Haomiao had his own ideas, and she couldn't manage him too much. All right then, if there's anything, just tell the teacher. Don't keep it to yourself. If you're not feeling well, go home and rest. If you're tired, just sleep on your desk. I'll let the other teachers know. Okay, thank you, teacher. Liao Haomiao returned to the classroom and immediately put his head down on his desk. No one knew what had happened. The afternoon passed quickly, and soon it was time for school to end. However, at the school gate, a woman had been waiting anxiously for a long time. Seeing the first student come out, she immediately went up and stopped him. Classmate, do you know Liao Haomiao? Do you know which class he's in? Liao Haomiao? Oh, he's in class 1. He's not out yet. Is that so? Thank you. The woman nodded, forcing a smile in response to the student, while also feeling a bit surprised. It seemed this Liao Haomiao was quite famous here. Even a randomly stopped student knew him. This woman was none other than Zhu Tao's mother. She had arrived here 2 hours early, just to wait for Liao Haomiao to get out of school. Because she didn't know if Liao Haomiao would leave early, she had come so early. And her purpose for coming here was singular, for Zhu Tao. Since last night, Zhu Tao had been acting strange. Dinner was her favorite dish, but yesterday she only took 2 bites and then stopped eating. After returning to her room, she just lay on the bed without moving, staring silently at her phone. At night, soft sobs could be heard from time to time, but no matter how many times she asked, Zhu Tao wouldn't say what was wrong. So today, she simply called in sick for Zhu Tao, letting her rest at home. But there was no improvement all day, and she felt that something was not right. This kind of situation was most likely related to a relationship. So she decided to talk to Liao Haomiao and ask him what was going on. Thus, she came to Liao Haomiao's school alone, without Zhu Tao's knowledge, preparing to ask him properly after he finished school. Students came out in droves. Zhu Tao's mother would approach almost everyone she met, asking if they were from class 1 and if they knew Liao Haomiao. Classmates, do you know Liao Haomiao? We know him, but who are you? Zhou Heng and Yi Mingran stood there, looking at Zhu Tao's mother in front of them with some surprise. Why did they run into a woman anxiously asking for Liao Haomiao's whereabouts right after leaving the school? Then can you help me find him? I need to talk to him about something. Zhu Tao's mother seemed to be clutching at straws with Zhou Heng and Yi Mingran. After all, she had asked so many people, but none were from class 1. Even if they knew Liao Haomiao's name, they weren't familiar with him and couldn't help. Now that she had finally met someone who knew him, she certainly didn't want to let them go. You're looking for him. For what? Zhou Heng frowned slightly with vigilance, looking at Zhu Tao's mother with confusion. He didn't know the identity of the person in front of him, so of course, he couldn't help. From her appearance, she didn't seem to be related to Liao Haomiao. Zhu Tao's mother was at a loss for words. She didn't know how to answer this question. If she told the truth, it would be too strange. Just then, Yi Mingran tugged on Zhou Heng's arm, signaling him to look to the side. Zhou Heng turned his head and saw Liao Haomiao walking out slowly with his head down. After seeing Liao Haomiao, Zhou Heng quickly walked over. When he got close, he draped his arm over his shoulder and called out, "Hey, someone's looking for you. See if you know her." Liao Haomiao looked up, stunned. For a split second, a flash of anticipation appeared in his eyes, but in the next second, as if in self-denial, the anticipation vanished, and he looked expressionlessly in the direction Zhou Heng was pointing. When he saw Zhu Tao's mother standing there, Liao Haomiao was truly taken aback. His pupils contracted slightly, his eyes widened abruptly, his face filled with horror, a reaction of being overly frightened. Damn! At that moment, Zhu Tao's mother also saw Liao Haomiao. Her eyes instantly lit up, and she quickly walked over. "Young man, do you still remember me? Before Zhu Tao's mother could finish, Liao Haomiao quickly bowed and greeted, "Hello, auntie." Zhou Heng and Yi Mingran were even more surprised. It seemed Liao Haomiao didn't know this auntie. It's okay. No need to be so polite. Do you have time? Could you chat with Annie for a bit? About my daughter's matter. Zhu Tao's mother stammered, her tone sounding as if she was pleading with Liao Haomiao. Yi Mingran was the first to react. Hearing the phrase about my daughter's matter, she had a rough idea. She leaned close to Zhou Heng's ear and whispered, "This must be Zhu Tao's mother, right? Really? Her mother is looking for Liao Haomiao? For what?" A flash of surprise appeared in Zhou Heng's eyes, his mouth slightly agape, finding it hard to believe. At that moment, after hearing that sentence, Liao Haomiao was as if he had been injected with chicken blood. He immediately became energetic. The listlessness that had lasted all day completely disappeared in that instant. Okay, I have time. Auntie, let's talk. Liao Haomiao nodded repeatedly in agreement, as if afraid Zhu Tao's mother would change her mind. With that, Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao's mother left first, completely ignoring Zhou Heng and the others. Zhou Heng crossed his arms, clicked his tongue, and muttered, "Looks like it must be her, Zhu Tao's mother. And his state today is also because of Zhu Tao. We were right after all." Yinming Gran also crossed her arms, perfectly in sync with Zhou Heng, shook her head, and murmured, "But what could it be about? A fight? Then there's no need for Zhu Tao's mother to come in person, right? I don't know. Let's ask him tomorrow." At that moment, Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao's mother were walking slowly outside the school. Liao Haomiao was very nervous. He didn't know what Zhu Tao's mother wanted to talk about, but he was also very eager to know how Zhu Tao was doing now. Why hadn't she been replying to his messages? Why had she been ignoring him? Was it really because she overheard that conversation yesterday and got angry? The two walked in silence for a long time before Zhu Tao's mother finally spoke slowly, asking, how has your relationship with little Tao been recently? Is it okay?" Liao Haomiao was taken aback for a moment, his mouth twitching. He didn't know how to answer. Before yesterday, it was particularly good. But now, he couldn't be sure anymore. It should be okay, I guess. How is she now? Is she at home? Is she okay? Liao Haomiao asked several questions in a row, as he really couldn't bear not knowing Zhu Tao's condition. Hearing Liao Haomiao's anxious inquiries, Zhu Tao's mother had her answer. It seemed that Zhu Tao's state was indeed related to Liao Haomiao. "Kid, let me tell you the truth. Zhu Tao, she's not in a good state right now. She didn't even go to school today, hasn't eaten a bite of food. When I ask her, she won't say what's wrong. Andy really had no choice but to come find you." "What? Zhu Tao, what happened to her?" Liao Haomiao was suddenly stunned, his heart lurching in shock. It took him several seconds to react. If Zhu Tao's mother hadn't told him this herself, he would never have believed it. Zhu Tao's mother looked worried, sighed, and slowly began, "I don't know either. Starting last night, she's been acting a little off. I thought she was angry with you, but she won't say a word no matter how I ask." Hearing this, Liao Haomiao understood what was going on. Zhu Tao had indeed heard everything loud and clear, but she couldn't tell her own mother about it, and not replying to his messages. Did she plan to cut ties with him? "I understand." Liao Haomiao lowered his head, responding softly, feeling his spirits drain away again. The next second, he suddenly raised his head, his eyes firm. He took a deep breath, looked at Zhu Tao's mother, and said, then, "Annie, I have a favor to ask. Could you let me go find her?" At these words, Zhu Tao's mother's eyes lit up. She nodded instinctively and asked, "Are you willing to go find her? Because I'm really at my wit's end. Her father is always working out of town. It's just the two of us at home. I really don't know what to do." "Yes, I can try. No matter what, I have to see her. Then, it's so late. Will it be okay with your family? Do you need to call and let them know?" Liao Haomiao froze for a moment. The words his mother had said to him that morning before he left flashed through his mind. If he went home an hour or two late, she would definitely call him, and she would definitely know he had gone to find Zhu Tao. At that point, he would probably be severely scolded, maybe even forced to never see Zhu Tao again. But if he went home now without resolving this, there would be no future with Zhu Tao. So even with the risk of being scolded, he had to go. "It's fine, I'll be as quick as I can. It's okay." After hesitating, Liao Haomiao shook his head and chose to find Zhu Tao. He had a bad feeling, as if something was about to happen. Sure enough, just after Liao Haomiao agreed, he felt a chill run down his spine. The next second, a cough filled with intimidating authority suddenly rang out. Ahem. This. Liao Haomiao trembled all over, his entire body stiffening as if frozen. His body felt like it had rusted as he slowly turned around. "Mom, why are you here?" Liao Haomiao's voice was trembling. The person before him was his mother. She was standing there with her arms crossed, frowning tightly as she stared at him and Zhu Tao's mother, her expression icy and her gaze extremely hostile. Upon seeing her, Zhu Tao's mother was also taken aback, her heart tightening as nervousness showed on her face. Liao Haomiao walked over step by step, the momentum he had just gathered completely shattered. He came before his mother, lowered his head, and said nothing. He hadn't expected his mother to have anticipated this situation and actually come to pick him up in person at night. Now, he was completely silenced, out of options. An infinite sense of unwillingness and sorrow welled up in his heart, but he couldn't voice his bitterness. Liao Haomiao's mother reached out directly, grabbed his arm, and said, "Come home with me right now. I'll deal with you when we get home." With that, she started dragging him away. Liao Haomiao couldn't resist. Just like Zhu Tao at this moment, their feelings were especially helpless in front of their parents. They were still just students, after all, and students about to take the college entrance exams. At a time like this, they could only listen to their parents. Liao Haomiao looked back at Zhu Tao's mother, the regret in his eyes on full display. Just then, Zhu Tao's mother, who had been silent, moved. She took a step and quickly followed them. "Wait, please, please wait." Liao Haomiao's mother stopped and turned to look at her. Her piercing gaze made her stop a few steps away, not daring to get any closer. I'm Zhu Tao's mother. Sorry to bother you, but could we talk for a moment?" Liao Haomiao's mother's brows furrowed in anger, and she said coldly, "Of course I know who you are. What is there to talk about with you? Are you going to curse my son out again? Or curse me again for not raising him right?" "Mom." Liao Haomiao didn't dare say much, only gently tugging at her clothes from behind. He wanted to stop what was about to happen, but it seemed too late. What came next would surely be a repeat of the argument from 2 or 3 years ago. His situation hadn't changed. He was still standing on the side, unable to do anything. But the next second, something happened that surprised both Liao Haomiao and his mother. "I'm sorry." Zhu Tao's mother suddenly apologized solemnly, bowing to Liao Haomiao's mother. This act stunned them both. The look in Liao Haomiao's mother's eyes cleared instantly, and her mouth fell slightly agape, completely not expecting this. Zhu Tao's mother stood up straight, her expression conflicted, but her eyes were firm. "I know that because I was so unreasonable and indiscriminate back then, I caused you a great deal of harm. My daughter has told me many times. I now understand that I was wrong. Putting myself in your shoes, no mother could bear to have her child scolded like that. I sincerely hope to receive your forgiveness. If that's not possible, at the very least, please don't blame my daughter." Zhu Tao's mother's words were extremely sincere and earnest, plunging Liao Haomiao and his mother into silence. The mother and son looked at each other, as if communicating with their eyes. Liao Haomiao's gaze held an extra hint of pleading. He had never expected Zhu Tao's mother to actually apologize, but since it had really happened, he wanted to seize this opportunity. He was really worried about Zhu Tao right now, and he really wanted to go see her. Liao Haomiao's mother sighed and shook her head helplessly. All right. My son was also at fault back then. Since you've said so much, I can't very well pursue it any further." Upon hearing this, both Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao's mother smiled. Liao Haomiao eagerly asked then, "Mom, can I?" Liao Haomiao told his mother about Zhu Tao's current situation, looking at her expectantly, hoping for permission to go see her. Zhu Tao's mother was also very nervous, clasping her hands together and looking at Liao Haomiao's mother, adding a few words of entreaty. After listening, Liao Haomiao's mother was silent for a moment. Under their expectant gazes, she nodded. "It's all for the children." The sky was a deep, intense black, a color of near despair. There was no moonlight or starlight, as if dark clouds had covered the heavens. The bedroom was pitch black. Zhu Tao lay face down on the bed, tears sliding down her cheeks and onto the bedsheet, soaking a patch. She scrolled through her chat history with Liao Haomiao, scenes of memories flashing through her mind. Below were the messages Liao Haomiao had sent her, one after another. She hadn't replied to any of them, because she knew that replying or not was no longer necessary. There was no turning back now. At this point, it was practically a dead end. She could only endure it silently. Choosing not to reply was an attempt to be decisive, to keep Liao Haomiao from getting too tangled up, to prevent him from being scolded by his mother. Zhu Tao turned off her phone and buried her entire head in her pillow. A moment later, she let out a sorrowful cry. She had finally gotten back together with Liao Haomiao, thinking that this time, nothing could stand in their way, that this time they would surely make it to the end. But the happy times had lasted so briefly, only a short month. So quickly, they had encountered an insurmountable obstacle that forced them to separate. Zhu Tao's cries grew louder, muffled by the pillow, until she could hardly breathe. Click! Just then the outer door opened. Zhu Tao heard the sound, but paid it no mind. After all, the only ones who could come back to this home were herself and her mother. She didn't know where her mother had gone or why she was only returning now. She didn't want to pay attention. Right now, she just wanted to cry her heart out. Click! This time, her bedroom door opened. Light from outside streamed in. Zhu Tao heard footsteps slowly approaching, stopping beside her bed. Mom, I want to be alone for a while. Zhu Tao's voice was a hoarse sob, sounding as if she were in heart-wrenching pain. Her hand gripped a corner of the pillow tightly, and she lay motionless on the bed, still immersed in her world of grief. Zhu Tao. Just then, a voice that made her very soul tremble sounded from behind her. Zhu Tao's eyes widened, and her heart trembled uncontrollably. This voice, she was so familiar with it. It was the voice she most wanted to hear at this very moment. But why was it in her home? In her bedroom? If she wasn't hallucinating from excessive grief, then it had to be. Zhu Tao shot up and turned to look at the person behind her. The light from the living room backlit his figure, making him a hazy silhouette. Zhu Tao couldn't see his face clearly, but just by him standing there, she knew who it was. Liao. Hao Miao. How are you? Zhu Tao's lips trembled non-stop, her pupils quivering. Her wide eyes were filled with disbelief. Liao Hao Miao was a little out of breath, as if he had just run over. It took him a moment to steady his breathing. He looked at the Zhu Tao before him, at her eyes, swollen from crying, her red cheeks still stained with tears. Seeing this, Liao Hao Miao's heart ached terribly, as if someone was squeezing it. I'm here. Don't be afraid. After a moment, Liao Hao Miao slowly spoke these words. His voice was very steady, not at all like someone who had just been panting. But these words were like a trigger for Zhu Tao's last line of defense. In that instant, all her emotions were completely released. Zhu Tao threw herself forward, wrapping her arms around Liao Hao Miao's waist, burying her head in his chest. Her hands gripped his clothes so tightly they wrinkled, her fingertips turning white from the force. Woo! A cry full of grievance reached Liao Hao Miao's ears. After a brief daze, he raised his hands and gently held Zhu Tao, his soft voice echoing by her ear. There, it's okay. I'm here. After a long while, Zhu Tao's crying slowly subsided, and her emotions gradually stabilized. Liao Hao Miao crouched down by the bed, looking at Zhu Tao's face up close. Zhu Tao was sobbing softly, asking, How did you get here? A faint smile played on Liao Hao Miao's lips. He wiped away her tears with his hand and said softly, Because you needed me, so I came. Zhu Tao now lifted her head and looked outside the bedroom. Only then did she see that there were two other people out there. One was her mother, and the other she didn't recognize. But she had a feeling. Could that be Liao Hao Miao's mother? Seeing that she was much better, Zhu Tao's mother came forward, her face full of heartache. Little Tao, are you better now? Don't cry. Mom knows why you were like this. Mom knows everything. Zhu Tao was stunned, her heart pounding. She looked at her mother, then at Liao Hao Miao, and finally fixed her gaze on the person she didn't recognize behind them. Zhu Tao's mother continued, It's all Mom's fault. It was my fault. But don't worry, I've already apologized, and they've forgiven me. You and little Miao, you could be together from now on. It's okay. What? Mom. Zhu Tao's eyes widened in shock, her face full of disbelief. She had been here in despair, thinking it was all over for her and Liao Hao Miao, because she couldn't solve this, couldn't say anything to her mother about apologizing. But what was her mother saying now? That she had apologized and had already been forgiven? Liao Hao Miao's mother, standing in the back, smiled slightly and came forward. Don't blame your auntie. Just like I don't want Liao Hao Miao to be wronged. Your mother didn't want you to continue being sad, so she apologized to us and called us over. Such is the heart of a parent. Auntie, you are Liao Hao Miao's mother. Zhu Tao blinked. By now, she was certain that the person before her must be Liao Hao Miao's mother, or she wouldn't have said such a thing. But she really hadn't expected that not only had Liao Hao Miao come, but even his mother had come in person. Yes, I am. Zhu Tao raised a hand to wipe the tears from her face and stammered. Hello, Annie. It's nice to meet you, Liao Hao Miao's mother smiled faintly and patted Zhu Tao's shoulder. All right, it's okay. Good child. Take your time to calm down, don't rush. A few dozen minutes later, the four of them were sitting around a table. Zhu Tao was much better, though her eyes were still red and swollen, and an occasional soft sob could be heard. Liao Hao Miao sat very close to her. They kept their heads down, not daring to look at their mothers, but their hands were tightly clasped under the table. A feeling of being both timid and brave. Zhu Tao's mother smiled helplessly and turned to Liao Hao Miao's mother. Look at this. These two kids really like each other. I've told my daughter many times, but she just likes your son. What's a mother to do? I can't be the one to break them up again, right? Tell me about it. Actually, setting aside the time you came to our house to argue, breaking them up back then was the right choice. Otherwise, my son wouldn't have become so motivated. But now, the kids are older, they have their own ideas, and they can keep up with their studies. As long as they manage it well, we shouldn't interfere too much. Liao Haomiao's mother was also helpless. Under normal circumstances, what mother wouldn't intervene in something like this? But now, they were both doing very well in school, at the top of their grade, and it wasn't hindering anything. And if they were deliberately separated, they had seen the result, crying their hearts out. Who could be so cruel? Zhu Tao and Liao Haomiao kept their heads down, cautiously glancing at each other, their lips pursed as if in secret delight. They could tell from their mother's words that they seemed to have compromised, tacitly approving their relationship. They had waited so long for this moment. The stone in Liao Haomiao's heart finally dropped. At last, he didn't have to worry about that impossible task anymore. The two mothers chatted for a while longer, getting along better and better. Their relationship had eased a lot, and by the end, they were able to chat and laugh. But time passed quickly, and it was getting late. Liao Haomiao's mother knew they couldn't stay any longer, so she prepared to leave with Liao Haomiao. Zhu Tao reluctantly let go of Liao Haomiao's hand. She really didn't want him to go, but she knew she had already gotten enough today and couldn't be greedy. She had to be sensible. Zhu Tao's mother quickly stood up and said, "It's so late. It must be hard to get back, right? Why don't you stay here? We have a spare room." Liao Haomiao's mother waved her hand. "No, thank you. My husband is coming to pick us up. We'll come another day." "Oh, okay. Then you all come over as guests another day. I'll treat you well. You too. When you have time, bring little Tao over to our place. You're always welcome." As the mothers talked, Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao looked at each other. Liao Haomiao spoke softly. "Can you reply to my messages now?" A cherry-like blush spread across Zhu Tao's face as she nodded. MMM. After saying their goodbyes, Liao Haomiao and his mother left Zhu Tao's home. Outside the residential complex, by the roadside, they saw a car parked. Liao Haomiao's father was in the driver's seat, waving at them. "Hey, over here." Liao Haomiao and his mother got in the car. Liao Haomiao sat in the passenger seat, glancing at his father with some apprehension. Now his mother knew he was with Zhu Tao and had agreed to it, but he didn't know his father's stance yet. After starting the car, his father asked, "What brought you all the way over here?" Well, Liao Haomiao was at a loss for words, not knowing how to answer. He looked at his mother in the rearview mirror as if asking for help. At this moment, only she could explain it, right? Liao Haomiao's mother shook her head helplessly. "Ask your son. He found a girlfriend and brought me along to help coax her." This. Liao Haomiao's body instantly felt as if it had turned to stone. He became very stiff, looking at his father with a hint of fear. His heart was in his throat, and he didn't dare say a word. Liao Haomiao's father paused, a thoughtful expression on his face, his brow furrowing slightly. "A girlfriend? Is it that girl you took out to play last time?" Facing his father's question, Liao Haomiao's throat moved as he swallowed. He nodded hesitantly. Yes. Oh, that girl's pretty nice, quite sensible. Last time you guys went out, she saw me give the guard at the gate a cigarette. In the afternoon, she bought 2 of the same boxes of cigarettes and had someone deliver them to me." Liao Haomiao was truly stunned, a blank look on his face, completely unable to understand what his father was talking about. After a long moment, Liao Haomiao finally figured out. That afternoon, Zhu Tao had indeed disappeared for a while. She said she was making a call to her family, but he hadn't expected her to be doing something like that. He had never thought of such a gesture himself, nor had he ever heard Zhu Tao mention it. If his father hadn't brought it up, he would have remained in the dark. "I really didn't know that." Liao Haomiao shook his head blankly, looking at the road ahead, lost in thought. After getting home, Liao Haomiao went back to his bedroom and saw that his phone had many new messages. They were all from Zhu Tao, replying one by one to the messages he had sent. Liao Haomiao smiled, raising an eyebrow slightly. He sat on his bed and started chatting with Zhu Tao. This night was destined to be a sleepless one for them, as they had to properly savor this recovered relationship. The next day, Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao woke up at almost the same time. The first thing they did upon waking was to send a good morning message to each other. As it turned out, their messages were sent simultaneously, which surprised them and also made them very happy. Their moods were a world apart from yesterday. As gloomy and sad as they were yesterday, they were that bright and joyful today. "Morning, Mom." Liao Haomiao walked out of his bedroom and greeted his mother with a wide smile. Liao Haomiao's mother gave him a sideways glance. While serving breakfast, she said, "Well, you're finally happy. Let me remind you, I've already talked it over with little Tao's mother. We've both decided that if you two show a serious decline in your next exams, we will separate you again. And no amount of crying and screaming will work then. Okay, I know. Don't worry. Hey, isn't that the class president? Don't go over yet. What if he's like yesterday? If he's in a bad mood, we shouldn't bother him. On the way to school, some students from class 1 saw Liao Haomiao. They were about to go up and say hello, but the thought of Liao Haomiao's state yesterday made them hesitate. As it turned out, when Liao Haomiao walked up to them, he turned his head, smiled, and asked, "Morning. Have you had breakfast?" Yeah, we have." The two students didn't know how to react for a moment and just nodded blankly. "Good that you've eaten. Hey, your school uniform. Fix it when you get inside, or you'll get told off if you're caught." "Oh, okay." After speaking, Liao Haomiao continued on his way, leaving them behind. "Is the class president in a really good mood today? I can tell too. Could it be? He's in love." "No way. That's not possible, right? He's so good at school. It seems like he's focused on studying every day. Does he have time for a relationship?" The two students discussed it animatedly, watching Liao Haomiao's departing figure, feeling like he was about to start skipping with joy. Liao Haomiao walked into the school and suddenly felt a chill down his back. This feeling, suddenly his gaze sharpened. He spun around quickly, raising his arms to block. The next second, a hand came slapping down and was blocked perfectly by his arms. Zhou Heng grinned, looking at Liao Haomiao with a puzzled expression. He hadn't expected him to be able to block his surprise attack. Liao Haomiao smiled smugly and let out a soft snort. "Oomph. You think the same trick will work on me twice? Think again." Well, you seem to be in a good mood today," Zhou Heng said with a smile, withdrawing his hand and putting it on his hip. Yin Mingran stood beside Zhou Heng and asked, "Did you make up with Zhu Tao?" "Well, it's a long story." Liao Haomiao then told Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran what had happened. The two listened intently, getting nervous during the thrilling parts of the story, but feeling relieved when they heard the good outcome. "That's great, then. Doesn't that mean your relationship has taken a step forward?" "Yeah, pretty much. But we'll have to be more low-key from now on. If my grades drop a lot in the next exam, there'll be no solution at all." Liao Haomiao scratched his head awkwardly. The thought of dropping from second in the grade by a huge margin meant he would be powerless, forced to break up with Zhu Tao with no chance of turnaround. So even though things were resolved perfectly this time, and he was happy, he still didn't dare to slack off. Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran exchanged a look and nodded. "I see. We were thinking of inviting you and Zhu Tao to hang out this weekend. I guess it's not a good time for you two. Hang out? Where are you guys going?" "We haven't decided yet. The two of us, plus Tang Ji. We were going to invite you. Can you still come out to play?" Liao Haomiao blinked, thinking seriously for a moment. "That should be okay, right? After all, we didn't go out last weekend. Going out once should be fine, right? What do you guys think?" Liao Haomiao looked up at them expectantly, trying to get an affirmative answer. He definitely wanted to go out, but he couldn't get over the hurdle in his own mind. Just like before, this was when a third party needed to intervene. But Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran just shrugged simultaneously and said, "We don't know. Can't comment without knowing the full picture. You decide for yourself." TSK. Liao Haomiao didn't decide right away, choosing to reserve his opinion and discuss it with Zhu Tao later. At noon, Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran, along with Tang Ji, were discussing where to go for the weekend. "So, is that couple coming or not?" Tang Ji asked them. To her, one couple or two made no difference. She didn't care about these things anyway. Public displays of affection in front of her didn't bother her. "We don't know. He needs to go back and discuss it. After all, so much just happened yesterday." Tang Ji nodded and thought for a moment. "If you ask me, if those two come, we should just get a private room and an internet cafe and play a 5-player ranked game. What do you think?" Yin Mingran smiled helplessly, while Zhou Heng waved a hand and immediately refused. "Are you kidding me? How could you suggest something so absurd? Think about it. Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao, they're definitely noobs. They'll ruin my win rate. Absolutely not." "Good point. And we couldn't play ranked anyway. Regular matches are a mixed bag. Not easy to carry." Tang Ji nodded with a straight face, agreeing with Zhou Heng. Yin Mingran sighed, looking at the two with a doting expression. Their thoughts and answers were exactly as she'd expected. She knew them so well now. Zhou Heng thought for a moment and asked, "How about hiking? It's not so hot recently. Hiking should be nice, right?" Zhou Heng looked at Yin Mingran, who, as always, went along with his ideas. Whatever Zhou Heng wanted to do, she agreed. But Tang Ji had a different idea and waved her hand. "No way. It's pointlessly tiring, and the process is so boring. If you want to sweat, you might as well play ball. Besides, The nearest mountain is at least a 2-hour drive from here. It's too much trouble for just one day off. That's true. Then you say, where should we go? Tang Ji thought seriously for a moment. Then, her eyes lit up. She looked at Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran and said, Hey, a couple of days ago, I saw online that there's a home party venue that's pretty popular. Why don't we go there? Home party? Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran were both taken aback, unfamiliar with the term. They had heard people mention it before, but hadn't paid attention. Yeah, it's like an indoor party with all kinds of entertainment facilities, billiards, board games, KTV, and stuff. The main thing is, Tang Ji suddenly lowered her voice, leaned in, and looked at Zhou Heng seriously. The main thing is that they have game consoles, computers, and stuff. That way we can play games, and the others can do other things so no one gets bored. Everyone can have fun. What do you think? That sounds kind of interesting. After school, Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran went home. Zhou Heng sent a message to Liao Haomiao, informing him of the plan. A home party? For real? Tang Ji suggested it. That doesn't sound like a suggestion she'd make. Liao Haomiao's reply clearly showed he didn't quite believe Zhou Heng. His impression of Tang Ji was only superficial. He didn't know her well, so he couldn't understand why she would propose such a thing. She's the one who suggested it. You just don't know her. I think it's a pretty good idea, since it's hard to pick something everyone can enjoy. Got it. I'll ask Zhu Tao and get back to you. Okay. After finishing the chat, Zhou Heng turned off his phone, let out a breath, and walked out of his room. Yin Mingran had just finished cooking and was setting the dishes on the table. Seeing Zhou Heng, she smiled and beckoned him over. Come on, time to eat. Yeah, coming. A slight smile touched the corner of Zhou Heng's lips as he sat down at the table with Yin Mingran to eat. During the meal, Zhou Heng suddenly spoke up. In about 2 more months, it'll be winter break. Yin Mingran paused slightly and nodded. Yeah, that'll be around Chinese New Year, right? Are you going home for the New Year? She suddenly remembered that winter break was right around the Spring Festival, when everyone would go home for family reunions. But she no longer had a home to return to. Would it be inappropriate to go to Zhou Heng's house? Even if Zhou Heng's mother would probably agree. She hadn't even met his father yet. What if Zhou Heng's father didn't like her? She was about to say that if Zhou Heng went home for the New Year, she would just stay here. But before she could get the words out, Zhou Heng spoke first. No, there's no one at my house for the New Year. They're all still busy with work. I'll probably spend it at Tang Ji's house, like I always do. This year it'll be the 3 of us, so it should be a bit more fun. Oh, I see. Yin Mingran nodded. Hearing Zhou Heng include her, although expected, still made her very happy, and she rejoiced inwardly. But we can only relax during the New Year itself. The rest of the time, Zhou Heng put down his chopsticks and looked up at Yin Mingran with a serious expression, which made Yin Mingran stop as well, looking at him and waiting for him to speak. The rest of the time, I'll have to ask you to help me study. The winter break is my best chance to catch up on my grades. I have to seize it. Okay, I understand. Yin Mingran was a little surprised. After a brief silence, she nodded heavily, her reply firm. She was very happy that Zhou Heng had such determination and ambition, because he had already told her many times that his purpose for doing so was to be able to go to the same good university as her. He was working so hard, and it was still for her. How could she not fully support and help him? After the next semester starts, there's an exam, right? Zhou Heng paused, as if hesitating. The next second, his resolve firmed up again. I want to get into the top 20 of the grade. He had already thought it through. He had to be at least in the top 20 to have a chance of getting into the same university as Yin Mingran and Tang Ji. With another semester of hard work, he would have a shot. Otherwise, there was no hope at all. You can definitely do it. This wasn't just simple encouragement from Yin Mingran. She truly believed that Zhou Heng could do it. His improvement in the last 2 exams was proof enough of his potential. With Yin Mingran's trust, Zhou Heng felt especially confident. To have someone believe in him after he said something like that was a huge encouragement. Zhou Heng let out a breath and a smile touched his lips. Thanks. I don't even know how to repay you. You still want to repay me? I haven't even finished repaying you. All this is what I owe. No, this is what I should be doing. Yin Mingran quickly corrected herself, because she knew Zhou Heng definitely wouldn't want to hear her talk about owing him anything, even if that's what she thought in her heart. Sure enough, upon hearing this, Zhou Heng sighed helplessly. Didn't I tell you? You shouldn't always feel like you owe me. We're already together. There's no such thing as who owes whom. Then, Yin Mingran lowered her head and murmured softly, Then can I have a small reward? It took some effort for Zhou Heng to hear clearly. He quickly nodded. Of course you can. What reward do you want? Yin Min Gran lifted her chin, her thin, ruby-red lips trembling slightly. A kiss. Zhou Heng was abashed. He instinctively licked his lips and stammered, but we're eating right now. Our mouths are all oily. Then a little later, but Yin Min Gran paused for a second before saying softly, it has to be for a longer time. Okay, I got it. The atmosphere at the dinner table became subtle, and their legs under the table felt a little awkward. Over an hour later, Tang Ji wanted to ask Zhou Heng if he had checked with Liao Haomiao and his group about whether they were coming. If they weren't, the three of them could just go somewhere else, like an internet cafe, for some games. What's the word? Is that couple coming or not? If they are, we should book that home party venue early. It's pretty popular. Tang Ji waited for over 20 minutes without a reply. She then asked Yin Min Gran, but there was no response from her either. It was as if the two of them had suddenly disappeared. What's going on? Why aren't they replying? On Liao Haomiao's end, after a detailed discussion with Zhu Tao, they finally made a decision and sent a message to Zhou Heng. Bro, we've decided. We'll go play with you all. But this is probably the last time we'll be going out to play, so we'd better plan it well. Why no reply? Asleep? You're not the type to sleep this early, are you? Liao Haomiao's message also went unanswered, which he found very strange. At that moment, in the dim bedroom, the phone on the desk kept buzzing with message notifications. I'll go check. Zhou Heng wanted to get up to check the messages. He had just lifted his head when a pair of arms wrapped around his neck, and a seductive voice sounded in his ear. Don't worry about it for now. When the weekend arrived, the day the group had agreed to go out, Yin Min Gran stood in front of the mirror, choosing clothes to wear, but after picking a few outfits, she still felt unsatisfied. Honey, can you help me see which one I should wear? Yin Min Gran called out towards the bathroom. Zhou Heng poked his head out of the bathroom, a toothbrush still in his mouth, his lips covered in toothpaste. Where? Wear any of them. You look great in anything. Yin Min Gran smiled sweetly and said softly, I knew you'd say that, but I still have to pick one. Then this one. Zhou Heng ran out and picked one of the outfits for Yin Min Gran. She was a bit surprised. It was very much to her liking, but she didn't know why Zhou Heng's choice was so spot on. Why this one? Because this one is less revealing. Oh, so that's it. I'll listen to you then. Yin Min Gran's face lit up with a smile. She reached out and touched Zhou Heng's cheek, her eyes full of doting affection and love. Buzz. Just then, the smart lock on the front door sounded. The two turned their heads to see someone entering the password from outside. They both froze. After all, besides the two of them, no one should know the door's password. Click. A few seconds later, the door opened, and a head poked in. It was Tang Ji. Whoa, you too. Why aren't you ready yet? Didn't I tell you 20 minutes ago that I was leaving? Tang Ji's mouth twitched. She opened the door, walked in, and closed it behind her. Zhou Heng and Yin Min Gran were stunned. Zhou Heng walked right up to her and asked, Wait, you, don't be so calm about it, okay? How did you know the password? Did I ever tell you? Tang Ji tilted her head, blinked, and let out a puzzled before answering. I guessed it. If you set the password, it would definitely be Yin Min Gran's birthday. If Yin Min Gran said it, it would definitely be your birthday. So I just entered Yin Min Gran's birthday, and it was right. It's that simple. TSK. Can you just pretend to be dumb once in a while? Don't make us look so stupid. Zhou Heng clicked his tongue, looking helpless, thinking he should have set a more complicated password. Tang Ji shrugged, sat down on the sofa, crossed her legs, and said helplessly, Please, when you go to a restaurant, don't you try to guess the Wi-Fi password? 8 8s, 8 SXS, 8 zeros, or the restaurant's name and pinyin. This is just normal thinking, okay? I can only say, your thinking is very normal. Yes, very normal. Why does that not sound like a compliment? All right, stop thinking about it. You two, hurry up. What about the other two? Where are we meeting? Did you tell them? I told them. Our routes are on a straight line. We'll just take the subway, and I'll let them know when we're on. They'll get on halfway. Okay, fine. Then you guys hurry up. Under Tang Ji's supervision, Zhou Heng and Yin Min Gran sped up and were finally ready to leave within 10 minutes. The three of them left together, went to the subway station, and got on. Zhou Heng immediately notified Liao Haomiao that he could get on the next train. Liao Haomiao must have been waiting for a long time, because he replied with an okay a second after Zhou Heng sent the message. After 2 stops, Zhou Heng saw Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao get on, successfully meeting up with them. Bro, I'm guessing you were the slowest, right? Liao Haomiao walked over, patted Zhou Heng on the shoulder, and pursed his lips helplessly. He had met up with Zhu Tao this morning and had been waiting at the subway station. 10 trains had passed before he got Zhou Heng's message. I'm just more meticulous. Zhou Heng scratched his head awkwardly. It seemed he really was the slowest. Yin Gran had gotten ready much faster than him. Tang Ji glanced at the time, nudged Zhou Heng, and asked, "It's already 10 o'clock. We need to hurry. The time you booked with the owner was for 10:30, right?" "Me?" Zhou Heng turned his head and pointed at himself with a blank expression. "Yeah, you... Don't tell me. You didn't make a reservation? Didn't I tell you 3 days ago to make one? Then we'd transfer you the money." Tang Ji realized something was wrong. Her brows knitted together, and she stared hard at Zhou Heng. Zhou Heng bit his lip, feeling cold sweat instantly bead on his forehead. Did you tell me to make a reservation? But didn't we agree that you would do it?" Tang Ji snorted, her eyebrows drawn together. She said in a low voice, "Do you need me to reenact the scene for you? When we were having lunch, I brought it up. You said you were a new user and could get a discount. I told you to make the reservation. Did you forget? I think that might have happened." Zhou Heng's heart began to race. He remembered now. It seemed that was indeed what happened. But that evening, he had gone home, worked out, and then studied. He had completely forgotten about it. Tang Ji already knew Zhou Heng hadn't made the reservation. She crossed her arms, tilted her head, and stared at him wordlessly. The atmosphere was very awkward. Liao Haomiao spoke up. "You can't really blame Zhou Heng. After all, when the limbs are well developed, the brain..." Slap. Before Liao Haomiao could finish, Zhu Tao gently slapped him and gave him a look, telling him to shut up. It was Yin Gran who quickly stepped forward and said nicely to Tang Ji, let's go over there and see anyway. Maybe we don't need to book in advance. Since we're already out, if it doesn't work, we could just find another place to hang out." Zhou Heng hid behind Yin Gran, not daring to speak. Faced with Yin Gran's plea, Tang Ji didn't pursue the matter further and sighed. "I really can't trust Zhou Heng next time. He's too unreliable." "Sorry, it was just this one time." Zhou Heng shrugged, smiling awkwardly. The group arrived at their destination, got off the subway, and walked towards the home party venue. Once there, they found the owner and asked if there were any unbooked rooms available. The owner shook his head helplessly. "Sorry, the last one was just booked 2 hours ago. They're probably coming soon." Just then, the main door opened, and everyone's attention was drawn to it. 2 people walked in, a man and a woman, both young. They were holding hands and were likely a couple. Zhou Heng's eyes widened and his mouth fell open. Even Yin Gran and Tang Ji frowned, their expressions turning grim. The 2 of them, they didn't know the woman but the man. Lu Yinchuo. The group stood there, staring at the newcomers, their expressions a mixture of shock and surprise. The atmosphere completely froze. Zhu Tao, somewhat confused, gently tugged on Liao Haomiao's sleeve and asked in a low voice, "Who is that?" "A friend." Liao Haomiao shook his head slightly and replied softly, "Not sure, but the guy was probably the former sports representative of their class. I've seen him." "Oh, a classmate." Zhu Tao murmured, but seeing their reactions, it didn't seem like a simple classmate relationship. Lu Yunchua's expression was blank, his brain seemingly having lost the ability to command his body. He stood there like a block of wood. The girl whose hand he was holding blinked repeatedly, a look of confusion on her face. Her looks were not particularly stunning, just average. Compared to the other 3 girls present, she was clearly a step below, much less striking. She looked at Lu Yunchua in surprise and asked, "Babe, what's wrong? Do you know them?" I..." The girl's voice snapped Lu Yunchua out of his daze. He subconsciously glanced at Yin Gran. The next second, he instinctively let go of the girl's hand, as if to quickly distance himself from her. Seeing this, Zhou Heng couldn't help but let out a small laugh. It had been almost 2 months, a long time since they'd last seen each other. What show to put on right after meeting again? Tang Ji clicked her tongue and muttered under her breath, "I never thought this place would gather 3 people who like Yin Gran." "This?" Zhou Heng gasped and shot Tang Ji a glare, which immediately made her straighten up, purse her lips, and turn her head away. "Long time no see. To run into you all here. What a coincidence." Lu Yinchua said, but anyone could tell he probably thought it was anything but a coincidence. No one replied. The only one who dared to was Zhou Heng. "Yeah, it is a coincidence. You transferred schools, right? And got a girlfriend." Zhou Heng raised an eyebrow, his gaze shifting to the girl beside Lu Yinchua. Hearing Zhou Heng's words, the girl immediately broke into a happy smile and pressed her body closer to Lu Yinchua, but he actually shifted his body, subconsciously dodging her. Well, you guys are here to hang out too, right?" Lu Yinchua quickly changed the subject, looking rather uncomfortable. Zhou Heng nodded and replied, yeah, but we forgot to make a reservation. Did you book one? I think I did, about 2 hours ago. Oh, so it was you? Zhou Heng shrugged. He hadn't expected it to be Lu Yunhua who booked the last room. What a coincidence indeed. At this moment, the owner came over, looked at Lu Yunhua, and asked, excuse me, when will the others be arriving? Lu Yunhua waved his hand and said, there are no others. I see, but our rooms require a minimum of 6 guests to book. Why don't you call a few more people? I wasn't aware of that. Lu Yunhua scratched his head awkwardly, thinking it was indeed a bit rash to come to a place like this with just 2 people. It cost a lot of money, and they couldn't even gather enough people. 6 people. We don't have enough either. Zhou Heng looked at the people around him. There were only 5 of them in total. It seemed that even if they had made a reservation, it wouldn't have worked. Hey, the owner suddenly raised a finger, a flash of inspiration on his face. He looked at Zhou Heng and Lu Yunhua and said, don't you know each other? You could just team up, couldn't you? Zhou Heng's group and Lu Yunhua were simultaneously stunned, staring blankly at the owner, their eyes seeming to say, are you kidding me? Yes. Let's do it together. Aren't they your friends? It'll be more fun to play together. The girl Lu Yunhua had brought along was quite supportive, nodding and shaking his arm. Lu Yunhua's face was a mask of anguish. He bit his lip, looking extremely conflicted and pained. If he were here alone, he would have been overjoyed. Even though he knew he had no chance with Yin Mingran anymore, it was impossible for him to forget her completely. Otherwise, he wouldn't have transferred schools, because he couldn't control his emotions. Seeing the girl he once liked again still made his heart pound. But unfortunately, he was seen with another girl. If he had known, he would have come alone today. Seeing Lu Yunhua's expression, Tang Ji covered her mouth and laughed secretly. Then, she pulled on the arm of Yin Mingran beside her and asked in a low voice, what do you think? If we join them, would you agree? Yin Mingran was taken aback, looking at Tang Ji with surprise, as if she couldn't understand why Tang Ji would ask such a question. Then, she answered honestly, I'll listen to Zhou Heng. Zhou Heng also heard Tang Ji's words. He turned to look at her and said in a low voice, I know what you're thinking. Why are you so mean? You want to bully someone again, don't you? It's for fun. Fun came knocking on our door. Why not tease it a bit? You clearly have the same idea. Otherwise, how would you know what I'm thinking? Just say whether you want to or not. I was just thinking of teasing him a little. Zhou Heng and Tang Ji exchanged a smile, as if they had come to an agreement in code, leaving Yin Mingran puzzled. Zhou Heng looked at Liao Haomiao and his girlfriend and asked, you two don't have any objections, right? We're already here. If we look for another place, it'll probably be noon. It's too much trouble. Liao Haomiao glanced at Zhu Tao, who nodded. With her consent, Liao Haomiao said, we're fine with whatever. We'll listen to you guys. We don't know this. These two very well. Zhou Heng turned back to the owner and nodded. All right, we're okay with it. It's up to him. Zhou Heng pointed at Lu Yunhua opposite them, forcibly suppressing the corners of his mouth to keep from smirking. Lu Yunhua's brow furrowed, his face bitter. Before he could speak, the girl beside him eagerly said, okay, we're okay with it too. TSK, what are you getting involved for? What's okay? Lu Yunhua clicked his tongue and glared down at the girl. Logically, since they were former classmates, playing together shouldn't be a big deal. But with what had happened between him and Yin Mingran before, it was too awkward for him to face them. But the girl seemed not to have seen Lu Yunhua's glare. She smiled slightly and whispered to him, babe, there are only 2 of us and 5 of them. We'll pay less. No matter how you think about it. We're not losing out. You. All right, I'll take you over. Follow me. The owner led the way, and the group followed behind. Lu Yunhua and the girl walked at the very back. Lu Yunhua stared at Yin Mingran and Zhou Heng ahead. He remembered that before he left, Yin Mingran and Zhou Heng weren't in a relationship. But they seemed to be living together back then. So did being a couple even matter? Just as he was guessing about their current relationship, Yin Mingran up ahead proactively reached out and took Zhou Heng's hand. Zhou Heng, in turn, clasped her hand, and their hands held on tightly. Phew! Lu Yunhua, who had already mentally prepared himself, still let out a heavy sigh, feeling as if his heart had skipped a beat. And just then, a hand reached over and took his. Lu Yunhua turned to look at the girl beside him. This one glance made him feel that this girl was so much worse. She was just an average person, not ugly, but how? How did she look so much worse now? Was this what they meant by no comparison, no harm? After seeing the few girls up ahead, looking at the one beside him now, there really was no comparison. He was just messing around. How could this girl, who was 100,000 miles away from Yin Mingran, possibly be worthy of him? So Lu Yunhua quickly pulled his hand away, glanced at her, and said in a low voice, Jia Yi, can you be a little more mindful? We're not in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship yet. Men and women should keep their distance. Huh? The girl named Jia Yi looked astonished, tilting her head, her eyes wide. Lu Yunhua, how can you change your tune so quickly? Now it's men and women should keep their distance. You sure did a lot of kissing yesterday, didn't you? And now you're calling me by my name? Yesterday it was babe and darling, and today? Sure. Lu Yunhua's eyes widened. He quickly held up a hand, signaling for Jia Yi to stop talking. Jia Yi's voice was quite loud, and the people in front of them heard it all. They held back their laughter, their shoulders trembling slightly, but no one turned around. They all pretended not to have heard, especially Zhou Heng and Tang Ji, who were about to burst. The two of them had agreed to let Lu Yunhua's group join precisely to tease him and have some fun. They had no grudge against him, but neither of them approved of Lu Yunhua's behavior, deceiving a girl's feelings, pretending to be a gentleman when in reality he was a total scumbag. So they had decided to mess with him. Arriving at the indoor room, as soon as they walked in, they saw that it was very spacious inside. The decor was exquisite, the lighting created a great atmosphere, and the facilities were very complete, with all sorts of entertainment options available. After the group went in, they didn't know what to do yet. Liao Haomiao's eyes were fixed on the pool table. He walked over, picked up a cue, looked at Zhou Heng, and lifted his chin. I can't beat you in sports, but how about a game of this? Do you know how to play? Well now, this counts as a sport, you know. As long as it's a sport, you can't win against me. Zhou Heng smiled with interest, then took off his jacket, tossed it on a nearby sofa, picked up a cue, and walked over. The jacket Zhou Heng had been wearing was quite loose and didn't show his figure. When he took it off, the tight-fitting athletic shirt underneath perfectly revealed his well-built physique. Jia Yi's eyes widened upon seeing Zhou Heng's figure, her eyeballs almost popping out. She had originally thought that Lu Yunhua had a very good physique among their peers, but she hadn't expected someone to be even more impressive. This physique was too perfect. Tang Ji, on the other hand, spotted a game machine. She reached out with both hands, grabbing Min Gran and Zhu Tao, and walked over. Play a couple of rounds of King of Fighters with me. If you don't know how, just mash the buttons. Oh, okay. Min Gran and Zhu Tao didn't have time to react before they were dragged over by Tang Ji and forced to sit in front of the game machine. To be honest, they only knew such a thing existed, but had never seen one. They had never been to a place like an arcade. Forget about knowing how to play. They didn't even understand what game Tang Ji had just mentioned. Zhou Heng and Liao Haomiao were engrossed in their game of pool, and the three girls were also playing at the game machine. Only Lu Yunhua and Jia Yi were still sitting there, not knowing what to do, feeling a bit awkward and at a loss. Lu Yunhua's gaze occasionally flickered towards the three girls, while Jia Yi's eyes occasionally stole glances at Zhou Heng. Lu Yunhua thought he should probably go play something now, get a little closer to the three girls. As long as he could join in their game, that would be enough. In other words, as long as he could ease the tension with Min Gran a little, this trip wouldn't have been in vain. Although Min Gran was with Zhou Heng now, it didn't mean they were destined to grow old together. It was too normal for students to date. Breaking up and getting back together was a common occurrence. The key was, how to get close now? Hey, Lu Yunhua suddenly thought that he had someone right beside him he could use. Lu Yunhua turned to Jia Yi and said, let's go play with him too. It's so boring just sitting here. He pointed in the direction of Min Gran and the other two girls. Jia Yi glanced over, unmoved, shook her head, and said, no, I don't like playing video games. I'd rather play pool. Jia Yi stared at the pool table in front of them and asked Lu Yunhua, why don't we go play too? We can ask them, and the four of us can play together. Lu Yunhua froze, looking towards Zhou Heng and the others, his expression a bit awkward. He didn't know how to play at all. Out of the three guys, he was the only one who couldn't. Wouldn't he be inexplicably outshone? How about this? You go play with them for a bit first, and then after those two are done, I'll play a couple of games with you. Lu Yunhua thought to himself that if he played against Zhou Heng and the other guy, he would just look like a fool. But playing against a girl like Jia Yi, he should still be able to manage, right? Fooling her should be easy enough. Oh, whatever you want. Jia Yi's tone towards Lu Yunhua was not as friendly as when they first arrived, but she still went along with his choice and went with him to where the three girls were. As soon as Lu Yunhua walked over, he said enthusiastically, count me in. I'm pretty good at this. I used to play a lot. Never lost. Min Gran and Zhu Tao turned to look, a glimmer of hope in their eyes, as if a sacrificial lamb had just appeared. Tang Ji slowly turned her head, glanced at Lu Yunhua, and said slowly, oh? So you're saying, You're very brave, huh? Yin Mingran and Zhu Tao quickly made way. They were tired of being unilaterally crushed by Tang Ji. The two of them had already tried having one person control the joystick while the other mashed the buttons, and they were still no match for Tang Ji. She was like an insurmountable mountain. I'll play. Lu Yunshua rubbed his hands confidently, sitting down, full of anticipation, ready to show off his skills. He admitted he couldn't beat Tang Ji in academics, but how could he lose to her in a video game? He might as well just call himself a loser then. Tang Ji shifted to the side, creating some distance, and said nonchalantly, "Loser of a round gets a sticky note on their face." "No problem." "K. Oh. A mistake, a mistake. Let's go again." "K. Oh. No, something's not right." "Again, I'm serious now. I was just getting the feel of it." "K. Oh. K. Oh. K. Oh. K. Oh. I'm done. I'm a loser. There's no more space on my face." Lu Yunshua threw his hands up in surrender, his face expressionless, his eyes vacant, as if he'd been dead for a long time. He couldn't find any more excuses. He had changed characters, switched sides, swapped joysticks. His face was already covered in sticky notes. His head now looked like a mop, full of mop-like strips. A single deep breath could suck a piece of paper into his mouth and suffocate him. And no one had told him Tang Ji was this good. This was a complete and utter beatdown. Using this level of skill to bully him was a bit like using a dragon-slaying sword to kill an ant, wasn't it? What happened? "Friends." Just then, Liao Haomiao walked over. When everyone looked at him, they all flinched in unison, startled. Liao Haomiao stood there, holding a pool cue, his face covered in chalk marks. Uffed. While everyone was still stunned, it was Tang Ji who burst out laughing first, covering her mouth with one hand until tears of laughter formed in the corners of her eyes. Zhu Tao quickly went forward to wipe Liao Haomiao's face, asking, "How did this happen?" Then, Zhou Heng also walked over, but his face was completely clean, not a single mark on it. "Still want to play?" He smiled slightly, looking at Liao Haomiao and asking softly. Liao Haomiao's head shook like a bobblehead. He waved his hand and said, "No more, it's no fun. I just sat there drinking water. The game was over in 3 or 4 minutes. I barely got to take a few shots in total." "Ha, my bad, I went a little. Whoa. You scare me. Where did this mop monster come from?" Zhou Heng's eyes fell on Lu Yunshua, and he jumped in fright. He thought turning Liao Haomiao into a smurf was abstract enough, but he hadn't expected a mop monster over here. Lu Yunshua and Liao Haomiao lowered their heads, looking embarrassed. They hadn't expected to lose so thoroughly. They had both been quite confident, but who knew Zhou Heng and Tang Ji were such freaks? "Hurry up. Who's next to challenge me? I won't use special moves this time. Who wants to play a few more games with me? I'll spot you the last 3 balls." Zhou Heng and Tang Ji spoke at the same time, looking around. The 2 guys were already out of commission, and the remaining 3, Yin Mingran, Zhu Tao, and Jia Yi, didn't dare to accept the challenge. Yin Mingran pointed at the 2 of them and said, "It's only interesting when you 2 play against each other, right? Why don't you 2 play? A couple of video games, then a couple of games of pool." "MMM?" The others nodded, agreeing with Yin Mingran. There was no suspense with any of them. They weren't on the same level. Zhou Heng and Tang Ji paused, then looked at each other at the same time, frowning slightly. The next second, they said in unison, "No, she's too weak. It's no fun." As soon as the words were out, they both turned around and went back to their own things. The others were stunned for a moment, looking confused and baffled. Zhu Tao whispered in Yimingran's ear, "She doesn't even think we're weak. Why would she think Zhou Heng is weak?" Yin Mingran smiled helplessly and replied, "They're evenly matched, so there's always a chance one could lose to the other. And then, they don't want to be the one to lose." "Oh, so that's it." Yin Mingran already knew these 2 very well. Their words were just excuses. Zhu Tao took Liao Haomiao to wash his face. Otherwise, he really did look like a smurf. Even Zhu Tao almost couldn't hold back her laughter. Meanwhile, Yin Mingran looked towards Zhou Heng. Seeing him playing by himself, she was about to go over and join him, but before she could take a step, a figure suddenly rushed out first. "I'll play with you. I know a little bit." She hadn't expected the figure who rushed out first to be Jia Yi. What was this? Why wasn't she with Lu Yunshua? What was she doing trying to play with her boyfriend? Yin Mingran's pupils constricted, and a flash of coldness instantly appeared in her eyes. Her hands also involuntarily clenched into fists, and she bit her lip hard, her whole body radiating an undisguisable aura. Then, she walked over menacingly, stood directly in front of Zhou Heng, snatched the cue from his hand, and looked at Jia Yi opposite them, saying in a low voice, "You want to play? I'll play with you then." Zhou Heng was stunned. Although he was a bit slow on the uptake, he had been with Yin Mingran for a while now. Yin Mingran in this state, with this tone, this aura, seemed a little angry, a little scary. "Hey, count me in. I'll play too." Just then, Lu Yunxua, who had just peeled all the sticky notes off his face, saw his chance and quickly joined them, though he seemed to have completely misread the situation. Here. You play. Zhou Heng took the cue back from Yi Mingran's hand, handed it to Lu Yunxua, and then, while the two were completely bewildered, Zhou Heng took Yi Mingran's hand and led her elsewhere. Zhou Heng led Yi Mingran to the mahjong table and sat down. As soon as they sat down, Zhou Heng could see Yi Mingran looking pouty, with her legs crossed, arms folded, and brow furrowed, her face screaming displeasure. Zhou Heng was a bit at a loss. He fidgeted with his fingers, a clear sign of his nervousness. Then he gently placed his hand on Yi Mingran's leg, blinked, looked at her, and said softly, "Bae, calm down." Yi Mingran blinked her big, watery eyes, looking at Zhou Heng in surprise. Did those words really just come out of Zhou Heng's mouth? Yi Mingran's anger vanished in an instant. She was almost completely defenseless against that word. The corners of her eyes curved slightly, as if she were smiling. She placed her hand on Zhou Heng's and said softly, "I'm not angry anymore, honey." Zhou Heng let out a sigh of relief, a smile returning to his face. He nodded. That's good. If anything's wrong, just tell me. I'll take care of it for you." "I know." Just then, Zhu Tao and Liao Haomiao also came out of the restroom. Liao Haomiao had finally washed his face clean and was wiping it with a tissue, while Zhu Tao was helping him clean his glasses and thoughtfully straightening his messy hair. When Zhou Heng saw them come out, he quickly waved them over. "Come on, come play some mahjong." Liao Haomiao put on his glasses, raised his hand, and said loudly, "Coming." "I refuse to believe it. Out of all the things in here, there isn't a single one I can beat you at." Then, he took Zhu Tao's hand and sat down directly at the mahjong table. Zhu Tao looked at Liao Haomiao and said in a low voice, "I don't know how to play. It's okay, I'll help you." Just then, Tang Ji also sat down, taking a seat next to Zhu Tao. Now, all five of them were gathered around the mahjong table, leaving Lu Yunxua and Jia Yi at the pool table looking somewhat awkward. Lu Yunxua sighed, turned to look at Jia Yi, and sized her up. "Well, how about we two play then? Do you know how? If not, you can teach me." Jia Yi placed the cue directly on the table, turned around, and walked away, leaving a parting shot. "If you're bad, practice more. If you don't know how, go learn." This. Lu Yunxua looked embarrassed. Now he was in a no-win situation. After nearly 2 months of not appearing before Yin Mingran, his reappearance hadn't improved her impression of him, but had instead distanced her even further. Although it was normal for someone with a boyfriend to keep a distance from other guys, this reaction was clearly one of disgust. Now, the girl he had brought along had also changed her opinion of him, and he had personally cut off his own escape route. Zhou Heng drew a tile, looked at Liao Haomiao, and said, "So, you guys are going to be studying quietly at home after this weekend, right? After all, with so many exams coming up, it's not good to be too relaxed." 9 of characters. Yeah, didn't I tell you before? Now my mom and Zhu Tao's mom are on the same side. It's true they've agreed to let us be together, but it's also true they've become stricter. 3 of circles. I'll take your 3 of circles. Don't move. Pong. What pong? I have a winning hand. Damn. Liao Haomiao helplessly pushed his tiles forward. He was really losing at mahjong too. After a few rounds, it turned out that Zhou Heng still won the most, followed by Zhu Tao with Tang Ji's help, while Liao Haomiao just kept losing, either by discarding a winning tile for someone else or by others winning by self-draw. Strange, why is my luck so bad today? I lose at everything I play. Well, now still think it's bad luck? Then tell me, what game should we switch to? I'm fine with anything. Zhou Heng looked at Liao Haomiao with the air of a victor, his smugness making Liao Haomiao very uncomfortable, but there was nothing he could do. He really didn't understand why Zhou Heng was so good at everything. It seemed that when his grades were poor, he really hadn't wasted his time not studying. At least he was good at everything besides studying. Liao Haomiao scanned the room. Board games, computers, game consoles. He probably wouldn't be a match for him. Finally, his eyes landed on the large dining table. I'm hungry. Can we eat first? Oh. Zhou Heng glanced at the time and nodded. All right, it's noon, time to eat. Should we ask the chef to cook? There was a dedicated chef here who could prepare a big meal. After notifying the chef, the food would be delivered to the room in about half an hour. A total of 18 dishes filled the large dining table. There were only 7 of them. If they sat separately, everyone would be too far apart, so they sat on one side, a little closer together. Min Gran turned to lazy Susan, but didn't take any food, which was a bit strange. But Tang Ji noticed the secret behind Min Ran's action. Being a girlfriend like this, the little details are really on point. Tang Ji's words, though not loud, were heard by everyone in the quiet room. The others looked over in surprise, not understanding what detail Tang Ji was talking about. While Min Gran lowered her head, pursing her lips, her cheeks slightly flushed. In reality, after the dishes were served, Min Gran had been looking at all the food on the table, immediately distinguishing which ones Zhou Hong could eat and which he couldn't. She then turned to lazy Susan to bring the dishes he could eat right in front of him. Zhou Hong also realized it, and a smile spread across his lips. He picked up his chopsticks, put some food on Min Ran's plate, and said softly, "Go ahead and eat. It's okay. You don't have to take care of me. Do you guys drink?" Just then, a voice broke the silence. The group looked up towards the source of the voice. As they had all guessed, the words came from Lu Yunxue. "No." The group shook their heads in unison, almost without hesitation. None of them had a habit of drinking. Some couldn't drink at all. Faced with their firm refusal, Lu Yunxue was still relentless. "Come on, have a little. It's so lively today, and we haven't seen each other in so long. A little drink won't hurt." Zhou Hong pointed at Jia Yi and said, "If you want to drink, ask her to drink with you." "We're not drinking. I'm not drinking either." As soon as Zhou Hong finished speaking, Jia Yi stated her position, leaving Lu Yunxue completely embarrassed. He realized he seemed to be isolated by the entire room. After a moment of silence, Tang Ji shrugged and slowly said, "I don't know what little tricks you have up your sleeve, but let me remind you, even if you think you're a good drinker, you definitely can't outdrink Zhou Hong. If you want to end up in the hospital, you can give it a try with him." Lu Yunshua's mouth twitched. Tang Ji's warning made his face turn extremely sour. Why was it Zhou Hong again? Was Zhou Hong good at everything? Now, he couldn't even outdrink him? Min Gran didn't know about this yet, as she had never seen Zhou Hong drink. "Are you a good drinker?" Zhou Hong rubbed his nose and replied nonchalantly, "Family inheritance, I guess." Then, Min Gran paused for a few seconds, then leaned close to Zhou Hong's ear and whispered, "Next time, I'll drink with you." "Really? Really? I'll cook and we can. Drink at home." "Okay. Then, let's do it after the final exams this semester." Zhou Hong and Min Gran were whispering to each other, their hands still tightly clasped under the table. It was as if this was a date just for the two of them, completely oblivious to anyone else. The others seemed to have grown accustomed to it, but Lu Yunshua's heart ached. He had never seen such a scene. To see the person he liked most in high school, his white moonlight, now acting like a doting wife, taking meticulous care of another boy. She would pick up food for him, blow on it to cool it down before putting it in his bowl, and immediately grab a napkin to wipe his mouth if it got greasy. The way she looked at him was like a starstruck fan seeing her favorite idol, her affection and admiration on full display. Lu Yunxue felt like he could barely breathe watching this. He wondered, did this Zhou Hong save Min Ran's life? Even for a couple, this level of attentiveness was too exaggerated, wasn't it? Anyone who knew would think they were a couple, but anyone who didn't would think Min Gran was Zhou Hong's maid. The key was that everyone else thought it was completely normal. No one reacted at all. Were they just used to them being like this? Lu Yunxue glanced at Jia Yi beside him and saw that she was also staring at Zhou Hong and Min Gran, her eyes filled with envy. Lu Yunxue thought if he hadn't met Zhou Hong and the others, or if he hadn't pushed Jia Yi away, maybe he could be holding her hand right now, and then. But it was fine when there was no comparison, but now, faced with these beautiful girls, Jia Yi seemed so much less appealing. But, since he was already here, maybe he should just make do. Lu Yunxue stole a few glances at Jia Yi, as if mentally preparing himself. Then he picked up a piece of food and placed it on Jia Yi's plate, flashing what he thought was a rather perfect smile. Jia Yi was slightly taken aback at first. She turned to look at Lu Yunxue, and her eyelids immediately drooped, her expression changing quickly. "If you're not going to eat it, put it on your own plate." "What are you putting it on my plate for?" Lu Yunxue froze for a moment, his gaze shifting downwards. He realized he had just placed the food in the small dish Jia he was using for bones and scraps. "Oh no, I meant to. Thanks, but I don't eat spicy food. I think I mentioned that yesterday," Jia Yi said, rolling her eyes at Lu Yunxue. Her indifferent glance felt like a bucket of cold water to his face. He knew there was probably no chance with Jia Yi now. This was all his own doing. Nothing to be done. After the meal, Tang Ji patted Zhou Heng on the shoulder, pointed to a nearby computer, and said, "Come on, let's play for a bit. I just checked, the specs are great. We can run on max settings." Oh, just as Zhou Heng was about to get up, Liao Haomiao spoke. "Zhou Heng, let's try to do something together. After all, this is our last weekend hanging out." You're right. Zhou Heng thought about it and realized it made sense. He could play computer games at home, but the opportunity to hang out with Liao Haomiao and the others was only for today. Zhou Heng turned to look at Tang Ji, who nodded in agreement and sat back down. But now the problem was, what could they all play? In truth, they got tired of these entertainment facilities after a few times. As long as they could play together, it didn't really matter what they played. The group sat around the table, silent, as if in meditation. In Mingran, leaning against Zhou Heng's chest, was already starting to feel sleepy, looking drowsy. How about? After a while, Liao Haomiao was the first to speak. "Let's do this. We'll each write down something we want to play on a piece of paper. It has to be something we can all play. Then we'll draw one at random. How about that?" They looked at each other, then nodded one by one in agreement. "Okay, sound good." Then each person took a slip of paper and went off to write down the game they wanted to play. Tang Ji, arcade tournament, I can go easy on you. Liao Haomiao, board game, any kind is fine, but no teaming up based on personal feelings. Zhu Tao, mahjong, needs Tang Ji's help. Zhou Heng, poker in Mingran. Zhou Heng's decision Jia Yi, truth or dare Lu Yinxia. Everyone had written down their game. Lu Yinxia, however, had gone far away to write his, looking sneaky and very suspicious. But Zhou Heng and the others couldn't take away his right to participate. After all, they had all chipped in to hang out together. It wouldn't be right to isolate him. Finally, everyone crumpled their slips of paper into balls, mixed them together, and prepared to draw one. Lu Yinxia looked very expectant, his eyes fixed on his own slip. "All right, who's going to draw?" Zhou Heng looked around at the group, trying to decide who should pick the slip. In the end, everyone looked at Zhou Heng, all thinking it was most appropriate for him to draw. Zhou Heng nodded and didn't refuse. He looked at the slips of paper. If he were the one drawing, he would naturally want to find his own, but after looking for a while, he saw they were all crumpled together, making it impossible to tell which was which. So, he could only pick one at random. Zhou Heng hesitated for a long time before finally picking one. The moment he picked it up, Lu Yinxia threw his arms up and cheered. "Oh yeah." Everyone else looked at him in confusion, not knowing what he was so happy about. Could it be that his slip was chosen? Zhou Heng's hand paused slightly, and he started to slowly put it down. Hey, no cheating. You already picked this one." Lu Yinxia immediately got anxious, reaching out to stop Zhou Heng from putting it down. After all, his had been chosen against all odds. The probability was so low. "Your reaction? Why do I get the feeling this isn't a good game?" Zhou Heng frowned slightly, his expression serious. His eyes, fixed on Lu Yinxia, were full of vigilance. Lu Yinxia immediately smiled awkwardly, shrugged, and explained, "How could that be? My game is pretty normal, and everyone can play. Isn't that great?" Liao Haomiao also patted Zhou Heng's arm and said, "Forget it. It's already been chosen. Let's play for a bit. If it's really bad, we can just switch. It's fine." "All right then." Zhou Heng reluctantly accepted and nodded. He opened the slip of paper in his hand. Everyone's gaze shifted to it, staring at what Lu Yinxia had written. "King's Game." Splat. Zhou Heng crushed the slip of paper in his palm. His mouth twisted in a grimace as he looked at Lu Yinxia, speechless. He shouldn't have believed Lu Yinxia's nonsense. What kind of pretty normal game was this? "What's this?" Yin Mingran and Zhu Tao had no idea what this game was, nor did they understand Zhou Heng's reaction. "What kind of game is this?" Yin Mingran whispered in Tang Ji's ear. After a moment of thought, Tang Ji quietly explained it to Yin Mingran and Zhu Tao. After the explanation, both of them wore looks of utter disdain, their gazes toward Lu Yinxia filled with disgust. Lu Yinxia looked very awkward and stammered. I think this game is pretty normal, isn't it?" Jia Yi glared at him from the side and said, "Of course it's normal for someone like you who plays it all the time. You didn't even consider anyone else." No, we'll just play it normally, without doing anything too over the top." "Okay." Lu Yinxia looked at Zhou Heng, seeking his approval. Zhou Heng thought for a moment, then nodded. "All right, in that case, let's set a few limits, okay? That way we won't all end up unhappy." "Okay. First rule, definitely no lewd stuff. Second, no issuing commands that are illegal or criminal. Third, no getting into personal or private matters. Fourth, The effective range of a command can exceed 10 meters. Okay, the group nodded in agreement. With these restrictions, the game was just a simple version of Dare. Otherwise, someone would definitely get upset. What about the punishment? What's the punishment for not being able to carry out a command? Liao Hao Miao asked. He anticipated that there might be things he really didn't want to do, and he wanted to know the penalty in advance. Lu Yunshua thought for a long time, but couldn't decide on a punishment. After all, the punishments from when he used to play were completely unusable now. The others didn't dare to suggest a punishment either, all waiting for Zhou Hong to decide. Zhou Hong thought for a moment, an idea forming in his mind. It was safe to say Lu Yunshua had tricked them. He had to get revenge for this, or at least vent some frustration. After a moment's thought, Zhou Hong looked up at Lu Yunshua and said, "Didn't you want to drink? For the punishment, the two of us will drink. How about it?" Oh, Lu Yunshua frowned slightly, a bit surprised, not understanding why Zhou Hong would propose such a punishment. But since Zhou Hong had made the offer, he couldn't possibly back down. Of course. What about the others? If the others can't do it, we drink too. Do you dare? A faint, dismissive smile played on Zhou Heng's lips, as if he were mocking Lu Yunshua. Lu Yunshua puffed out his chest and said, "I dare. What's there to be afraid of? But let's be clear, no one can deliberately refuse to do something just to make us drink." Of course, Zhou Heng nodded. Then, he took a bottle of baijiu from the liquor cabinet nearby. Yin Mingran showed a worried expression. She had never seen Zhou Heng drink and had no idea what his tolerance was or what he would be like after drinking. But Zhou Heng seemed to sense her concern, turning to give her a reassuring look while squeezing her hand. "Let's go." Lu Yunshua brought over a deck of cards, took out the ace through 7 and a joker, 8 cards in total. Each person would pick one, leaving one behind. The person who got the joker would be the king and could issue commands to the others. Everyone only knew their own number, not anyone else's, and the card left behind was the king's number, so it was possible for the king to dig a pit for themselves. The first round began. Everyone drew a card, looked at it, and placed it face down on the table. "I got it." Jia Yi revealed her card. She had drawn the joker, meaning she was the king for this round and could give orders freely. Everyone else looked at her, waiting for her to speak. Lu Yunshua was extremely nervous. He and Zhou Heng had already poured full glasses of baijiu. If someone couldn't follow through, they would have to drink, taking a big gulp. One gulp was about 1 liang. After a few rounds of that, he definitely wouldn't be able to take it. Well, for the first round, I'll keep it simple. Number 3 has to pick up number 5 and spin around 3 times. But for Lu Yunshua, a request like this was enough. A subtle smile appeared on his face. His goal had been achieved. There was no need for outrageous requests. Weren't simple commands like this good enough? With so many girls here, the probability of interacting with one of them was high. He glanced at his own card. Unfortunately, it was number 4 just a bit off. "I'm number 5. Yin Mingran slowly picked up her card. It was indeed the 5. This made Lu Yunshua grit his teeth in frustration. Why wasn't he number 3? If he were, he could have held Yin Mingran. Who's number 3? Everyone looked around, wanted to know who would be picking up Yin Mingran. Zhou Heng glanced at his own card. It was number 1, not him. Jia Yi also glanced at the card on the table. It was number 7, so it wasn't her, the king. The others. "It's me." Just then, Tang Ji flipped over a card. It was number 3. Seeing it was Tang Ji, both Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran breathed a sigh of relief. He could rest easy now. Otherwise, he was already prepared to drink. Yin Mingran and Tang Ji stood up and moved to an open space. Tang Ji was ready, extending her arms and tilting her chin up, signaling for Yin Mingran to come over. Yin Mingran walked over and wrapped her arms around Tang Ji's neck. Tang Ji bent down and lifted Yin Mingran right up. "Whoa!" Yin Mingran let out a small cry of surprise. She had only ever been held by Zhou Heng, a feeling she was very familiar with. But being lifted by Tang Ji this time felt truly different, and Tang Ji seemed to be doing it with ease. Although she wasn't fat, she didn't think she was so light that another girl could lift her so effortlessly. Tang Ji held Yin Mingran and spun around 3 times, making it look very simple. After putting Yin Mingran down, she even said, "Good thing it was you. If it had been Zhou Heng, I'd have died of exhaustion trying to lift him." "You talk too much." Zhou Heng shot her a glare and snorted. After that round ended, they shuffled and drew again. This time, the one who drew king was Lu Yunshua. Lu Yunshua's lips curved into a meaningful smile. He looked at everyone present, then slowly spoke. Number 2 has to look at number 6 with deep affection and say, "I love you." Everyone simultaneously showed expressions of disgust, their mouths twisted. Just saying, I love you is one thing, but to do it while looking at someone with deep affection. It would be fine if they were playing with strangers, but these were all people they knew, and their relationships were all quite unique. Doing this was a bit too weird. Who's number two? Liu Yunchua looked around at the others, his gaze lingering with extra anticipation when it fell on the girls. Unfortunately, after a few seconds of waiting, no one came forward. Huh, no way. Liu Yunchua flipped over the face-down card on the table. It was the 2, which meant that number 2 was himself. I'm number 2. Who's number 6? Liu Yunchua looked at the others, his heart now praying that number 6 would be a girl. Anyone would do. As the others were looking on, Tang Ji suddenly nudged Zhou Heng's leg onto the table. Zhou Heng felt it and showed no reaction on the surface, but he already understood. Then, Zhou Heng squeezed Yi Mingran's hand slightly. Yi Mingran glanced at Zhou Heng and at the same time saw the look in Tang Ji's eyes. She immediately got the message. Ahem, ahem. Yi Mingran started to cough. Everyone's attention was subconsciously drawn to her. At that moment, with Tang Ji's arm blocking the view on the table, her other hand pushed her own card toward Zhou Heng. Zhou Heng pressed down on that card with his index finger, while simultaneously sliding his own card over with his middle finger. In the span of a single second, while Yi Mingran created a distraction, the two of them had swapped cards without anyone noticing. Zhou Heng flipped over the card in his hand. It was the 6. What? Liu Yunchua's eyes nearly popped out of their sockets. His mouth twitched and his eyebrows jumped, leaving him speechless. Any girl would have been fine. There were 4 girls present, such a high probability, and it wasn't any of them. It was Zhou Heng. He had to look at Zhou Heng with deep affection and say, I love you. No, he would definitely have nightmares. Absolutely. And if someone recorded it, it would be held over his head for the rest of his life. He had truly dug his own grave. I'll drink. I'll drink. Liu Yunchua hurriedly picked up his glass, about to drink. He absolutely could not perform such an act. It was just too disgusting. Zhou Heng tilted his head and frowned. Wait, I never said I wouldn't do it. This involves 2 people, right? You think you can get away with just 1 sip? In your dreams. You should drink at least 2 gulps for this, right? Zhou Heng's words made the others nod in agreement. Liu Yunchua's face turned green. It was a Tuiyang glass. 1 big gulp was half the glass. 2 gulps meant he had to down a whole glass of baijiu. This, although he drank often, he never drank like this. Could he even handle it? Zhou Heng swirled the glass, staring at Liu Yunchua, and said coolly, if you can't drink, then don't. You're the one who said you drink, and now you can't handle it. I can drink. What's this? This is like water to me. Liu Yunchua picked up the glass, held his breath, and instantly downed the baijiu. Everyone watched with rapt attention. It was their first time seeing a person's face and neck turn red at lightning speed. Tang Ji and Zhou Heng's lips curled up slightly. Seeing Liu Yunchua looking like a boiled crab, bright red, and wearing a pained expression was particularly amusing. Jia, he also showed a disdainful expression, as if to say, serves you right. Ugh. After drinking, Liu Yunchua almost threw it all back up. He could feel it rising to his throat. Fortunately, he clamped his hand over his mouth in time and slowly swallowed it down, managing not to vomit. Otherwise, he would have put on a human fountain performance right there. Still playing? Or, are you done for? Zhou Heng asked with a smile, a hint of mockery in it. Liu Yunchua could feel his scalp tingling. Faced with Zhou Heng's taunt, he was clearly running out of steam. I'll rest. Before Liu Yunchua could finish, he saw Zhou Heng reach out and wrap his arm around Yi Mingran's shoulders. Yi Mingran leaned obediently into Zhou Heng's embrace, her thin lips curved up in a gentle smile. Seeing this, it was as if a fire of rage ignited in Liu Yunchua's heart, making his face and neck even redder. I can drink. Why can't I drink? Let's go. We've only played 2 rounds. Liu Yunchua waved his hand, looking like he wouldn't give up. Zhou Heng shook his head again. That won't do. We don't pressure people to drink. If something happens to you at this table, we'll all be responsible. Let's just forget it. No. I know my limits. It's fine. If it comes to it, I'll sign a waiver, okay? Liu Yunchua's eyes were red by now. He was fired up and completely ignored what Zhou Heng was saying. Just wanted to continue playing and get his revenge. Well, since you've said so, all right, let's continue. Zhou Heng chuckled. He exchanged a look with Tang Ji and Yi Mingran beside him, then began to shuffle the cards. At the same time, he thoughtfully refilled Liu Yunchua's glass. The 3rd round began. This time, the king was Zhou Heng. As soon as Zhou Heng saw it, he spoke without thinking. Number 6, and number 7 drink. This. What's wrong? Is this not allowed? This is the most normal command, isn't it? Isn't this just a bar drinking game? Lu Yunxuo was stunned. In that moment, his stalled brain seemed to start working again. He realized he might have fallen into a trap. Number 6 and number 7 were Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao. The two of them immediately shook their heads, saying they couldn't do it. They had a valid reason, saying that if they drank, it would affect their minds, which would cause their grades to drop, leading to a breakup. So, no matter what, they couldn't possibly drink. According to the agreement, this meant Zhou Heng and Lu Yunxuo had to drink. No, wait a minute. This. Before Lu Yunxuo could even process it, Zhou Heng picked up his glass and downed the drink in one go. Yimeng Ran's hands fluttered, as if wanting to stop him, yet also worried. But Zhou Heng was just too fast, drinking it like it was water. Your turn. If the punishment isn't carried out, what do you think should be done? Zhou Heng tapped on the table. His dark eyes radiated a cold, sharp light, creating an immense sense of pressure. Besides Zhou Heng, Tang Ji and Yimeng Ran also seemed to have cold expressions, staring intently at Lu Yunxuo. Lu Yunxuo's throat moved as he swallowed hard, a cold sweat breaking out on his back. I'll drink. Ugh, another half glass of liquor down. Lu Yunxuo really couldn't take it anymore. He alone had drunk half a gin of liquor in just over 10 minutes. He covered his mouth, quickly stood up, and rushed to the restroom, where he began to vomit violently. All right, game over. Zhou Heng leaned back in his chair and stretched his shoulders, looking completely relaxed and at ease. Yimeng Ran had a worried look on her face as she watched Zhou Heng and asked softly, "Are you okay? You drank about as much as he did." The 1 gin bottle of liquor on the table had been finished by Zhou Heng and Lu Yunxuo. They had drunk roughly the same amount, but their conditions were completely different. Lu Yunxuo was currently in the bathroom performing a dragon's roar, while Zhou Heng was still sitting firm as a mountain, as if he hadn't drunk anything at all. His face hadn't changed color, and his eyes weren't even unfocused. "I'm fine. This liquor is okay. The alcohol content isn't high." Zhou Heng shook his head, glanced at the empty baijiu bottle on the table, and answered calmly. "So, you can drink that much. That's amazing." Yimeng Ran blinked and marveled in a small voice, her tone filled with admiration for Zhou Heng. Zhou Heng felt a bit embarrassed, scratching his head and muttering, "It's nothing. I rarely drink. Drinking too much is bad for your health." The sweet state of these two made Jia Yi, sitting opposite them, very envious. She propped her cheek on her hand, sighed, and said, "I'm so jealous of you, finding such a great boyfriend." "It's not that I found such a great boyfriend, but such a great boyfriend chose me." Yimeng Ran looked at Jia Yi and gently shook her head. Jia Yi's eyes suddenly widened, and she slowly sat up straight, an incredulous expression spreading across her face. She turned to look at the others, Liao Haomiao, Zhu Tao, and Tang Ji. They all just smiled faintly. Tang Ji shrugged and said, "The things those two have been through are much more complicated than you think." When Lu Yunxuo came out, he was already leaning on the wall for support. His face was beet red, and the veins on his neck and forehead were bulging, showing how forcefully he had just been vomiting. "All right, as long as you're okay, you should rest. We're going to play something else." Zhou Heng stood up, took Yimeng Ran's hand, and left the table to go play something else. The others followed suit, no one caring about Lu Yunxuo's well-being. Lu Yunxuo was gasping for air, his breathing rapid, but his eyes were fixed on one spot. It was Zhou Heng and Yimeng Ran's clasped hands. The sight was so jarring to his eyes. It was unbearable. In his heart, he still felt that the one who should be holding Yimeng Ran's hand was him, not Zhou Heng. The group moved to the other entertainment facilities, chatting and playing. Lu Yunxuo stayed alone in a corner, not saying a word. Everyone assumed he was drunk and had fallen asleep, so they left him alone. After a while, Yimeng Ran gently tapped Zhou Heng's shoulder and whispered in his ear, "I'm going to the restroom. Okay." The moment Yimeng Ran left Zhou Heng's side and headed towards the restroom, it was as if an alarm went off in Zhou Heng's head. He subconsciously glanced back. That one glance revealed Lu Yunxuo getting up and following behind Yimeng Ran. Zhou Heng's brows furrowed tightly, his eyes turning cold. A bad feeling, a very bad feeling, welled up inside him. "Wait for me a moment," Zhou Heng said to Tang Ji, then immediately stood up and headed in that direction. Inside the restroom, Yimeng Ran was unaware of what was happening. She washed her hands, looked up at her reflection in the mirror, and smiled slightly. For her, as long as she could be with Zhou Heng, it was a day worth smiling about, a happy day, no matter what they were doing. She turned around, unlocked the door, and prepared to walk out. But the moment she unlocked it, before she could even put her hand on the doorknob, she saw the handle press down on its own. Someone was outside. In Min Gran didn't have time to react. The restroom door was flung open. A figure rushed in from outside. Lu Yunshua. In Min Gran clearly saw the figure. His face and eyes were red. He was obviously drunk. After entering, Lu Yunshua immediately closed the door and locked it. Click! A wave of fear instantly washed over In Min Gran. Her eyes widened, her whole body froze in terror, and she held her breath, backing away continuously. What? What are you doing? Lu Yunshua gasped for breath, advancing on her, his voice low. In Min Gran. In Min Gran. You have no idea how much I like you. Why are you with Zhou Hong? Why? Why did you betray me? You. How far have you two gone? Did you give it to him? How many times? Zhou Hong. Zhou Hong. In Min Gran yelled as she retreated. She was truly scared, her body shrinking back as she kept moving away. Her face was pale, her lips trembling. She didn't know what Lu Yunshua was going to do, but it was definitely nothing good. She absolutely could not be defiled by Lu Yunshua. If that happened, she would have no face to see Zhou Hong again. She might as well die. In Min Gran. Just let me. Lu Yunshua lunged forward, as fierce as a beast hunting its prey. In Min Gran immediately dodged to the side, evading his attack. Just then, there was a loud knock on the restroom door. Bang, bang, bang. Lu Yunshua, I'm giving you 3 seconds. Open this door right now, or I won't be polite. Zhou Heng's cold voice came from outside. Although his tone was steady, the anger within it was faintly audible. Lu Yunshua sneered and said to the door, Zhou Hong, don't think I'm fucking scared of you. What? Who are you trying to scare? What can you do to me if I stay in here today? 2. Zhou Hong, FCKU. Boom! A massive crash. The door lock shattered instantly, and spiderweb cracks appeared on the door's glass panel. The door creaked open slowly. Standing at the doorway was Zhou Hong, his face as dark as the clouds before a storm, so heavy it was suffocating. He retracted his raised foot, slowly lowered it, and then walked into the restroom. Lu Yunshua's face was blank, his expression numb. His eyes were wide, completely stunned. He never imagined that Zhou Hong could actually break down the door. In Min Gran quickly ran to Zhou Heng's side and hugged him, her body still trembling with fear. Sure, you go out first. It's okay. Zhou Heng's last gentle words were for In Min Gran, as he lightly stroked her head. MHM. Just then, Tang Ji and the others arrived. Standing behind Zhou Hong, Tang Ji took In Min Gran into her arms, gently patting her back. She glared coldly at Lu Yunshua and said to Zhou Hong, Bro, don't let him off easy. Of course. In Min Gran was clearly terrified, still looking shaken as she sat there. Tang Ji kept comforting her, slowly calming her down. After all, having a drunk guy suddenly barge in with ill intentions would undoubtedly leave a psychological scar. Inside the restroom, Zhou Hong advanced step by step. His body was tense, the lines of his muscles showing immense resilience and power. His fists were clenched so tightly his knuckles were white. His brows were locked, his lips pressed into a thin line, and the fury in his eyes could almost ignite the surrounding air. Lu Yunshua kept backing away until he fell onto the toilet seat, his face tinged with fear. Zhou Heng's current state was truly frightening, and combined with his physique, it made him genuinely timid. Zhou Hong, listen to me. Slap. Before Lu Yunshua could say anything, a heavy slap landed squarely on his face. The crisp sound echoed in the restroom, deafening. Lu Yunshua's head snapped back, his body falling backward, and he crashed onto the floor. In an instant, a large part of Lu Yunshua's face turned red, a bright red handprint starkly visible on his cheek. Ugh, ha! Lu Yunshua knelt on the floor, clutching his cheek and shaking his head. Saliva dripped from the corner of his mouth, and he squeezed his eyes shut, looking completely dazed. Zhou Hong squatted down, reached out, and grabbed a handful of Lu Yunshua's hair, forcing his head up to stare into his eyes. With me, you can talk about me, curse at me, provoke me, I won't care, and I won't get angry. But I have only one bottom line, and that's In Min Gran. Zhou Heng's voice was deep, as if devoid of any emotion. After hearing this, Lu Yunshua, while gasping for breath, managed to squeeze out a smile and spit at Zhou Hong. Pah, you, Tong Enings, lapdog, you think you're worthy? In Min Gran must be blind to be with you. Don't you get so smug? As long as I'm alive, I'll never give up. I'll get her sooner or later, by any means necessary. Zhou Heng's face instantly grew darker, his eyes turning dull and colorless. The veins on his temples bulged, one after another. Tang Ji, hearing Zhou Hong call her name, in that tone, sent a shiver down Tang Ji's spine. She quickly ran to the restroom door and answered softly, "Bro, close the door. Don't let anyone in." "Got it, bro." "You, hold back a little, don't. Let this get out of hand." Tang Ji was no longer as angry as she had been just moments ago, because she could feel that Zhou Hong was truly furious this time. "I know." After the warning, Tang Ji slowly closed the door with a shattered lock. Although there would be a gap, it was enough to block the view. Subsequently, a continuous thud sound came from inside the restroom. Outside, the others frowned and winced. With every sound from inside, their bodies would flinch. Tang Ji slowly walked back and sat down beside Yin Mingran. Yin Mingran quickly grabbed Tang Ji's wrist and said, "Tang Ji, hurry, go stop Zhou Hong. Don't let him kill someone." I don't dare. He's really angry right now. In this state, no one can get near him." Tang Ji shook her head repeatedly, a bitter look on her face. She had only seen Zhou Hong in this state a few times in her entire life. Because in her mind, Zhou Hong was famously good-tempered, much better than her. You could joke with him however you wanted. If others mocked him, cursed him, or provoked him, he wouldn't care at all, nor would he hold a grudge. But the angrier a person like that gets, the more terrifying they are. It must be because he encountered something that made him extremely furious. At a time like this, who would dare to intervene? At that moment, Yin Mingran stood up, her gaze becoming a little more determined. She knew Zhou Hong was very angry right now. As his girlfriend, she had to stop him and prevent him from making a huge mistake that would affect his future. Even if it was dangerous to approach Zhou Hong now, she had to go because right now, she was the only one who could stop him. "Tang Ji, please call his mom." After leaving this request, Yin Mingran started walking towards the restroom. Hey, Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao couldn't just watch Yin Mingran go alone, so they followed her. If Zhou Hong had lost his senses and wouldn't recognize anyone, they could at least protect Yin Mingran. Oh, Tang Ji took out her phone and called Zhou Heng's mother. The phone rang a few times before it was answered. "Hello, little Ji. What made you call your aunt?" "Hey, Annie, Zhou Hong. He. What's wrong with Zhou Hong? Speak slowly." At the same time, Yin Mingran reached the restroom door and pushed it open. The scene before her left her dumbfounded. The restroom was a mess. The toilet lid was shattered, and there was blood on it. Zhou Hong was holding Lu Yunchua by the collar. Lu Yunchua's eyes had rolled back into his head. Blood was streaming from both nostrils and the corner of his mouth, and his face was covered in signs of a beating. Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao were also shocked by the sight. This scene was simply too brutal. "Zhou Hong, honey, stop hitting him. That's enough. Yin Mingran quickly went over and hugged Zhou Heng's arm, softly comforting the enraged Zhou Hong, trying to calm him down. Zhou Hong whipped his head around to look at Yin Mingran. In that instant, Zhou Heng's cold, fierce eyes and tightly furrowed brow scared Yin Mingran so much that her whole body trembled, and her expression froze. The next second, she slowly let go of his arm and couldn't help but take 2 steps back, because it was the first time she had seen such an expression and such a look in Zhou Heng's eyes. It made him so unfamiliar, as if the person in front of her was not the Zhou Hong she knew at all. Just for a moment, a tear appeared in the corner of her eye. She hadn't cried in a long time. She had sworn to herself that she would no longer be weak, but if there was one thing that could still make her cry instantly, it was Zhou Hong. Zhou Hong froze, as if his thoughts were snapped back to reality in that instant. His brow smoothed out, and his eyes became clear again. Yin Mingran. Baby, I didn't mean it. Are you okay?" Zhou Hong quickly let go of Lu Yunchua and walked towards Yin Mingran. Lu Yunchua slumped to the ground, motionless, completely unconscious.